All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Biblical Hitmen, folks. My name is Steven, host of the show. Before we get into tonight's episode, if anyone wants to support the work that I do and the guests that I have on, links will be in the description below. But you can find my work over on patreon.com/the Biblical Hitmen. It's where you get all of your ad-free early access and direct group chats, all that kind of stuff over there. We got a growing community. Come on over and come support the YouTube while you're there. Just hit that subscribe button, like the show, share it with your friends. Drop a comment down below about the episode, whatever your thoughts are. Last episode, we got a lot of great feedback, got a lot of bad feedback, but that's all right. That's what the whole point is with the comments, so I can pay attention and see, how the audience takes everything. So, but as well, come support the channel over on the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, and while you're there, drop a follow, drop a lovely review. I ask kindly for 5 stars only, folks. And tonight I have S90 with me once again, and he created a video that's gonna pump up this show, folks. Get ready and strap in tight. Brother, that was awesome. That was awesome, and I may have cut it a little short, but S90, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for joining me. And if you wouldn't mind, just give a little introduction to yourself. And what are we getting into tonight, man?
Well, thanks for having me back on. I seem to have messed up the music a little bit on that video. I'm sorry. I was exporting it 2 seconds before the show started. The program was giving me errors. Oh, it's been a real trek to get here with you again a day later. Thank you for having me on again. That was essentially a bunch of people who, seemingly unconnected, have a very close relationship or are the ideological, let's say, creations or children, or they've adopted the ideology of, or on the outer layers are pushing, maybe even unknowingly, a lot of the philosophy of this Barbara Marx Hubbard lady that we talked about a little bit yesterday. She was so well connected that she knew people from all walks of life, right? From politicians, she was at the United Nations, she spoke at the Lucius Trust, which I'm sure, the Lucifer publishing company of Theosophy, right, originally.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's been all around the world. She's met all kinds of people. Now, not everyone in this video's name is directly related to her, but people like Foster Gamble, Nassim Harriman, Greg Braden, and John Perkins, who we talked about a little bit yesterday, they were her close friends up until her death a few years ago. And they continue to push her ideology to this day. right? And so people like Elon Musk and Peter Diamandis, the yellow rings and the green rings sort of represent people who are, again, ideologically pushing things that she's created. And so I wanted to go through a little bit about her, a little bit about the major organization she was a part of, and the function it serves as controlled opposition to the World Economic Forum, let's call it, but also its true competition. Not just controlled opposition, but an actual competition of ideologies that are completely incompatible. So I'd like to get into that and maybe open a door into avenues of research that people haven't yet known about. Everyone knows about the World Economic Forum. Not as many know about the World Future Society, and I think people deserve to know a bit more about this entire thing. Yeah, that's the full image. It was 90 megabytes. I couldn't actually put it in the Discord for you, but there are about 200 names here that I have for, I obviously I can't cover them all tonight. I wouldn't want to. I wanted to show you this. I'll put it in the private chat. You can bring this up. It's just a short YouTube video. I have a program that I'm using to map these connections and to keep track of all this data, because there's a lot to go through. Because again, it's merging science and technology, real hard, actual science from the 60s onwards, environmentalism, space science, terrestrial science. It's a merger of politics. They did a lot of lobbying for projects back then and influence, and politicians came and spoke there, like Ted Kennedy and his assistant, who was one of her best friends. So this is the program I was using right here. And this is just some of the data I have connecting her, the futurists, the World Future Society, some of these other names we're going to talk about. Stephen Greer is in here. And it's this self-sorting program where you can create connections between nodes and then categorize them like company, person, organization, right? So Carol Rosen is in here heavily. We've got Stephen Greer and his disclosure project in May of 2001, the World Future Society, right? And I've categorized and added as much of this evidence as I can. Greg Braden, Bill and Lynn Twist. Bill and Lynn Twist started the Pachamama Alliance with John Perkins. They were the other people involved in that. The Resonance Academy, Mankind 2000, you know, the Hudson Institute. We have the Congressional Institute for the Future was basically run by the World Future Society. These people have controlled not necessarily the present, but they have controlled what we think the future should be like. What we as people deserve the future it's again, to go back to what I said yesterday, it's like the effect the Back to the Future movie had on people, where suddenly they feel they are deserving now of self-tying shoes and hoverboards.
Yeah.
It's sort of like that. You paint a picture for people and it's a really nice one and they want it. And, you know, people deserve a good world with clean water and fresh air and all these things for everyone. But the people who are behind, you know, the environmental movement and all of this and the pushback against the World Economic Forum, they're just as bad. And I hope we can get into some quotes and take a look at a few of the people involved. But I can't get into all of this, obviously. There's too much. I would love to be able to just have chat throw names at me and me give them the perfect instant rundown. I can't keep all this in my head. That's why I have to sort it like this and store it away.
It's magnificent. So, it's beautiful. I like that program.
It's beautiful cool. And terrifying when you know what it is, right? Because this is essentially a map of how this is sort of the conspiracy that has sat beneath us this whole time and not really been talked about too much. And a lot of it has created the landscape that we as conspiracy theorists, whether or not you want to call yourself that, let's just, you know, use that phrase liberally here in this term. But she created a lot of the landscape that our minds are inhabiting these days, a lot of the phrases people are using, and a lot of the people that people are listening to now, like Greg Braden, Billy Carson of Forbidden Knowledge News, right? Mm-hmm. Who else we got? Alfred Lambremont Weber is actually a relatively unknown figure with quite a crazy backstory, and that's probably why he never got out as much. He lived in her house. He's a UFO hunter, Alfred Lambremont Weber. He pushes the C60 medicine to everyone. So do a few of them, actually. Patty Greer pushes that too. You know, the C60 buckyball meds. It all ties in. Anyway, I don't know where you'd like to to start necessarily? Maybe just a quick bio of
Well,
Barbara Marx Hubbard, or
yeah, let's do that real quick. I just wanted to talk about something just briefly, and I wanted to find the scripture of it because I think at some point this is a part of their plans. They don't like the church, and they're trying to bring in their God, which is our adversary. And I think with that, one thing that they have in their list of priorities is to bring the church and initiate the church into their new world religion, whatever that's going to look like. I'm not sure, but we'll definitely we'll get more understanding of it the closer we get. Um, but there's a verse here, and it's let me bring this up. It's Second Thessalonians chapter 2. Um, let me throw this up here for the people. But there's a delusion that God is going to send people if they choose to believe a lie. And I think that I think that the new age really is trying to bring people uh, into that range, like into that corral, whatever that is. I don't know your thoughts on that, but it says, and for this God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. And I think that their new world religion is going to look so true, but ultimately it's a lie, right?
well, of course, yeah, it's going to have to be. They can't be. It's kind of like what I was saying yesterday. I think they have to lead. They have to sort of get Christianity fired up and sort of almost popular again, because that is the route they have to take in order to get everyone to turn left and come into the worship of, well, not Jesus, right?
Yeah.
In whatever form they choose to take. It's less about knowing what form it's going to take and just knowing what they want to do to people, right? They want to get you to believe, like, they want to get you to believe in God so that they can twist it, so that they can pervert it, right? The more people that are attending church now means, the pastors that they send out to corrupt everyone will have a larger audience, right? It
Yeah.
just makes sense to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my logic is flawed on that, but I feel like they would like to grow Christianity for a harvest, but it's not God's harvest, right?
Right. Right.
Just a thought.
And what's crazy too is like the more I read into Alice Bailey's work, which she's been a huge influence to Barbara Marx Hubbard and other people out
Yes.
there of the neo new age movement, how she promotes uh the crowd that she's a part of, right? What would you call the crowd she's a part of? Like the white magicians? Is that like just a good generalized idea or
For
just
Alice
concept?
Bailey or Barbara
Bailey.
Hubbard? Oh, yeah. She
Right.
would. Well, they always think that they're the good ones, right?
And that's what I'm saying. The way she talks and she says these things in her books. Number one, it's so seducing because it comes off like it's promoting positivity, love, light, truth,
Mm-hmm.
righteousness. These things that you can easily plug into the the church today, and people wouldn't be aware of it, right? Of where these things first initially came from and how they've integrated into the mega churches, the NAR movement, the charismatic movement, all those kind of movements where they're honestly starting to kind of preach the same thing. Very
Yeah.
similar to what Bailey's talked about, but yeah, let's get into Barbara Marx Hubbard and let's get into
Well, you just blew my mind a little bit, because I'm just gonna say that it's funny. You're absolutely spot on, and I hadn't even got to that yet. It's almost like, I remember after the show yesterday, I told you about a book, a science fiction book by a guy called Roger Zelazny. It was called The Lord of Light, and it was about a planet inhabited by human slaves to these gods, but they weren't gods. They were just pretending. They were just fronting. And the quote was, "It is difficult to incite rebellion amongst a people to whom all things are good. When times are good, you're not going to rebel. So first they have to make times bad, right? They have to make this villain. They have to set the stage for us. And what is more appealing to someone in bad times than a little bit of hope and optimism?"
Right. Exactly. And listen to this. This just and I'll just kind of, I'll stop myself from ranting. But this is from Alice Bailey's book The Reappearance of the Christ, page 157. It says humanity is passing through its dark night of the soul. The
Yes.
confusion, chaos, and conflict that we are experiencing are the result of humanity's inner turmoil and struggle. This period of darkness must occur in order for the light to break through. As the darkness reaches its climax, the new spiritual teachings will emerge and the people will recognize the truth of the new world religion. The light will then spread across the globe, illuminating the path for all who seek it. That's wild. So,
Stephen, I will just say praise God, because he has shown you the same thing he's shown me, but in a completely different way. That
oh, wow.
that essentially we all know that, Lucifer will show himself as an angel of light. This is the human operatives engaging in that. Essentially, that's what I was going to present. I had all my notes and I had an old script for a movie I was going to do on this, and so that's kind of what I'm running with now. It's a bit fragmented and it wasn't finished, but I think I have a coherent narrative, and that is the fracture point, like I was talking about yesterday. Optimism is the fracture point that I believe evil is going to use to get the leverage it needs over most people.
Yeah.
So,
And this is a wild verse here, man. Right here it's 2 Corinthians 11, verse 14 and 15. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works.
well, and some people will believe evil is good and good is evil, will they not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
oh man. Here we go. Here we go, folks. Strap in. Let's go. Oh
all
man.
right. Well, so I guess just to get us started, genuinely a biography of Barbara Marx Hubbard isn't necessarily too important. There were a couple interesting points in her life. She was actually a fairly seemingly normal person to start with. She was aside from being a Nepo baby, she was the daughter of Louis Marx, the toy manufacturer, in the early 1900s. And so she was born into wealth with some siblings. And then she had a husband and she had children, and met Jonas Salk and left all that behind to change the world. And there was one quote where she was at the launch of one of the Apollo launches. I don't know which one specifically. It's in one of the books she wrote. And she was talking about how she heard a voice in her head, literally, as the rocket was going up, saying, yes, yes, break free of this earth, right? And the more I read about her, the more I think she was troubled. Whether it was simple, I don't know what was wrong with this lady, and some of the things she says are awful, and she's gone now, and all we can do is pray, but I highly doubt, So let's take a look here. This is what she's most famous for. I'll put that in the private chat for you there. You can play that one real quick.
That's so funny. It was I just saw it. If you just Google her name, it pops up in the video section.
Yeah, because this is essentially what has gone, the only thing that has gone viral about her in modern times. She went very unnoticed for a long time.
All right, let me see if I can.
Yeah, you're gonna have to unmute it at the top there and restart it.
Aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do. The babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight. We are the first species on the face of this earth to be aware of evolution, to be aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do. The babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight.
Whoa!
Yeah,
that's a huge slip up.
I want to I want to be honest here. She's an old lady and she tripped over her words multiple times in that clip. But that unfortunately doesn't matter, does it? Because you've said it and the clip has now gone viral of you saying it. Now, if that was all that there was, I'd feel bad for her. I genuinely would. But that's not all there is. And before getting to what she's done, what she's created, and who she's influenced, I would like to explain. Everybody knows about the World Economic Forum, and so I would like to talk about the World Economic Forum. I've put a news paste link into the chat for you, Stephen.
Okay.
And it's called How Klaus Schwab, well, we'll see it in a second here.
Now, she was at Promega speaking at that. Was that like, I saw on the podium it said Promega, and then I just went to the Promega website and it actually looked like it was you know, like the normal futurist website without all the big buildings and stuff, but more of like cellular technology and genetics probably, or something like that. Interesting.
Yes, so that's one thing I did notice, is that when you're invited, and that's kind of funny you bring that up. Thank you for teeing that up for me perfectly again by accident. When you're part of one group, it seems you end up in a lot more, doesn't it? And so originally what happened is John Brisson from yesterday's show sent me a group called the World Future Society. Everything that this show is going to be about today has come from that one message, from looking at that one group. So this article is called Dr. Klaus Schwab, or How the CFR Taught Me to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, by Johnny Vedmore. He's an excellent researcher. He goes over the history of the World Economic Forum. And I want to go down here. I'll just read a selection of it while you take a look here.
Okay.
And it's talking about the formation of the World Economic Forum. And it says, Kissinger introduced Klaus Schwab to John Kenneth Galbraith at Harvard. And as the 1960s came to a close, Galbraith helped Schwab make the World Economic Forum a reality. Galbraith flew to Europe, along with Herman Kahn, to help Schwab convince the European elite to back the project. At first, the European Management Symposium and Forum, the original name of the World Economic Forum, John Kenneth Galbraith was the original keynote speaker. And the figure I want to focus on here, Kissinger was the third member of who created the World Economic Forum. It was Kissinger, Kahn, and Galbraith. And so Herman Kahn was born in Bayonne, New Jersey. Okay, Basically, his whole thing was, as it says here, nuclear deterrence. He basically thought everyone was going to blow each other up, and he didn't like that because he's an atheist. All right, fine. He fears death. We get it. But after creating the World Economic Forum, Vedmore's article basically goes, it's a long article, and he basically goes on to say that Kahn was disillusioned with creating the World Economic Forum and thought it was too negative. And so he left to join something called the World Future Society. And what we find when we look at the World Future Society, they were just like the World Economic Forum, but composed of futurists, science fiction authors. But that came a little bit later. Originally, it was mostly futurists and scientists, engineers, environmentalists. And they would come together and try to lobby Congress for certain projects in various different sectors. Their favorites being space colonization, space travel. There were multiple spin-off organizations from this group. There was the L5 Society, which tried to put a space station into orbit. There was a project that Barbara Marx Hubbard backed called Operation Harvest Moon, where they would farm the moon for rare resources to bring back to Earth. You know, we've all seen this in all of film, right? We've seen the Moon Man with I forgot the actor's name, and we've seen The Martian with Brad Pitt or whoever it was.
Matt Damon, I think.
Matt Damon, yes, that's the one. Sorry. They had another program that they worked in conjunction with NASA with called the 100-Year Starship, where they wanted to basically assemble the schematics for a plan for a spaceship that would travel 100 years to our neighboring star and deposit humans there, or embryos or whatever, who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the science fiction authors were involved in this too. One of the notable ones was Heinlein, the author of what became the Starship Troopers movie. He was one of the... I do not respect him greatly, unfortunately, for his personal beliefs. He was not a very good guy in my eyes. And he was a big member of all of this, as were most of the other science fiction authors. Asimov. I had the list in the video. That's why I created the video. So, they were also interested, again, I said, in environmentalism. So they were birthing many of these movements back then in the 60s and 70s, getting everything laid out for what became modern environmentalism. They set the standard, they set the stage, they did the lobbying, and they kind of created the first generation who were the ones who were creating what we see now. They mentored all the environmentalists that we see now, like the Greta Thunbergs and such. And of course, they had a vested interest in science fiction, because what better way to control the future than to control what people perceive it as, what they deserve, what it should be like. The human mind can conceive of this. Why shouldn't we have it somehow? Why hasn't anyone come up with this yet? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were rooted in what John Brisson calls techno-optimism, that technology and science and human grit and determination will save us. They were the anti-Malthusians. That's why Herman Kahn retreated there after leaving the World Economic Forum and seeing, my goodness, what have I created, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that is sort of the dynamic that we see. We see a Malthusian element who sees humans as 95% must be removed because it's completely unsustainable, whereas the World Future Society would appear to say, we can save all of humanity with just enough, like if we got just enough good technology, we could save everyone. Unfortunately, well, for the World Future Society, that may be true, but that is not true for Barbara Marx Hubbard, as we're going to go on to see here. So another example of this dialectic between Malthusianism and techno-optimism, we can look to Barbara Marx Hubbard's probably closest friend in real life, a man called Irvin Laszlo. He was part of the Club of Rome. He authored a section of The Limits to Growth about how there were too many people and we must all go. And what did he do? He left the Club of Rome and created the Club of Budapest, the techno-optimist opposition to the evil Club of Rome that wanted to get rid of everyone and depopulate everyone. Are you kind of seeing where this is going now?
Yes.
And so we can look around for a few things. Laszlo's been involved in, he is a character all of his own. I haven't delved too much in depth into him. He's still alive as far as I'm aware, and he's still going. He was one of her best friends, one of her closest friends. Yeah, twice nominated Nobel Peace Prize, authored more than 70 books. The guy genuinely is a genius. But during COVID, he authored a paper. COVID, it was something like COVID, an opportunity to change the world. He was one of these kind of guys, right? But he wanted to do it nicely and for your benefit. I believe it was C.S. Lewis who said, a tyranny exercised sincerely for the benefit of the oppressed is the worst, because the tyrant might actually sleep or get bored of it, but the Karen who thinks they're taking care of you will oppress you forever because they do it with good conscience. He's one of those kinds of people, right?
It's interesting. It says here he worked as program director for the United Nations Institute for Training and Research. In 1999, he was awarded an honorary doctorate by the Canadian International Institute of Advanced Studies in Systems Research and Cybernetics.
Mm-hmm. He's an ambassador of the International Delphic Council. It sounds like the Oracle at Delphi or such. See, there's so many avenues to go down with all of these names that you find around this woman and around this organization. And you start pulling on this, and it's like you saw how many data points I had in that video. It doesn't stop. There's a whole side to the conspiracy that has been hidden from us, and that's because it looks like it is the resistance.
Right.
These are the people who didn't want to be part of the Club of Rome and the World Economic Forum, so therefore they must be the good guys, right? Couldn't argue with that, could you? But the more we read of what they've done and said and pushed, you're going to realize this is the other hand slapping you. So
yeah, I mean, I think they throw that in there too with the Star Wars movie, right? You've got the resistance versus the Empire, right?
Exactly.
And everyone loves the resistance, right? But
everyone wants to be a hero. I genuinely, in my heart, believe that most people are good people, and they want to genuinely do good. It's that most people have been lied to about what good is. The leftists think good is everything we've seen over the, Me Too and cancel culture and surgeries and all this stuff that is unfortunate and regrettable. They think they're doing good. They're not, we have Tim Pool coming out here saying all leftists are demons, and, I'm paraphrasing, but painting the entirety of everyone as, but I genuinely do believe that at most people, like even the MAGA supporters, deep down in their heart, most people think they're doing the right thing, but they've been lied to about what that is.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And God set them free, because I don't know. I don't have the answers to all this. I just do research. I'm socially awkward, as you could tell. I have trouble doing these presentations and stuff. So if you ever need to cut me off, let me know. But so essentially what you have is the dialectic. These are the guys who resist the bad guys. Therefore, they must be the good guys. But again, let's take a look. There's a lot more stuff that comes out of this. You remember we talked about 2012 last show. We talked about a man called Jose Arguelles and his involvement with Barbara Marx Hubbard in the creation of 2012 as a date to be watched back in the 70s. The same time they did this, some in your audience may remember this. I hope they do. The harmonic convergence. That was her also. The one where everyone was going to pray together all at the same time and bring peace to the world and chant Om and whatnot. You remember that was her too. That was these people too. They were attempting to bring optimism and hope, but it's Lucifer clothed as an angel of light.
Right.
It's opening people up to practices that will be exploited on later. Right?
And I think some people out there that are pushing this in a Christian lens is the Bledsoes. Like the Bledsoes are pushing this same kind of light, right? Like this, they're ultimately pushing a Gnostic narrative, but they're bringing in the Christian lens in people from the church into their philosophies.
Mm-hmm. They're inviting the outside in. They're not pushing people out, but they are inviting the wolves into the house. There were some other offshoots, like things that people in chat may be familiar with, other things that have come up in my research with Barbara Marx Hubbard. She spent a lot of time with Timothy Leary, great fellow there, eh? Another thing that came out of this was a guy called Saul Gareth Davis. He created the World Citizens. He was World Citizen #1, and he went all around the world with his self-made passport, and countries would let him in and thus legitimize the world citizenship, and people would want them. Yes, there he is. Not a great guy either. You can look into his past and his dealings and scandals and such. I won't lie, he was hard done to sometimes in his life for some of these things, but at the same time he is pushing the one world agenda, and he grew out of this too. So just because these people are opposed to the World Economic Forum and stuff doesn't mean they're opposed to a one world government. And as we'll see later, doesn't mean they're opposed to depopulation either.
Yeah, dude, that's going to be big. Folks, strap in. This is coming out of their mouths, dude.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a whole host of things that I could and should and will in good time cover. Edgar Mitchell and the Institute for Noetic Sciences. There's an enemy for Christianity, if ever there was one, right? The merger of the spiritual and the scientific, weighing people as they die to see if you can weigh the soul leaving, creating chambers out of lead and uranium to try and trap the soul. Experiments that attempt to defy God, that attempt to pervert the spiritual. But hey, it's just Edgar Mitchell. Yeah, he stepped on the moon. He's cool, right? I see him on Alex Jones. I see him on my favorite conspiracy show. He must be the good guy. No, there are almost no heroes, unfortunately. And this web has been kept from you for a reason. You don't hear about Barbara Marx Hubbard or the World Future Society.
Right.
You don't know who created 2012, just that, whoa, maybe there's a day and maybe something will happen. I got taken by this stuff. A lot of people in the audience got taken by this stuff. That's okay. It was meant to do that. And it's not taking your sanity. It's not taking your energy. It's not taking your potential anymore, right? Because all you need to do is just look at who creates what you believe. If it's anything outside of the Bible, you need to genuinely look at the origin of this thought, because it's probably not good.
And there's so many layers to this stuff, man. So much of this is buried, and that's
it really never ends.
You have to dig. You have to dig, man.
And she pushed things that weren't her own idea. She loved things like the divine feminine. She loved Eastern and indigenous traditions. She's probably part of the reason Perkins loves Pachamama with Bill and Lynn Twist and created that organization. She was all about the Buddhism and the light and the time cycles and just all of, but she was also a hard scientist obsessed with evolution. She believed in the idea of Homo novus, or the new man who would replace us, the Homo obsolenses, you and me, the obsolete man. She was essentially...
The story goes that she's the one who...
She's essentially believing in... A lot of people in the comments and in the chat will have heard of the X-Men, the comic books, the movies, right? There was a little bit of something to that. I don't have all my notes on hand, but essentially the idea of the new man was essentially that, having people with supernatural gifts, right? The origin of these gifts, of course, was never explained. I'm sure they'd love for it to be science, but I bet you it'd be black magic and, deals with demons. But that's just me, right? Mm-hmm. The future holds things that we didn't... The devil's plan holds things that we really, really, really haven't thought of. There are things that are going to happen that nobody's really thought of here, and we're going to have to really be on our toes. I don't know exactly what form it's going to take, but I know what they say, and I'd really like to get into what she said just real quickly. Play that. The feminine co-creator. Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's so many.
Sorry, everyone. I hit the play button on accident in the background.
And this is the Conscious Life. This is the organization behind the Conscious Life Expo, where she peddles her nonsense, and now her lieutenants and ideological creations go and peddle her influence. Greg Braden, he's one of the biggest offenders and pushers of her work. Greg Braden, anyone in chat? Greg Braden, Greg with 2 G's. He is, I find him insufferable, because he has essentially replaced her part in pushing this false light to everyone these days.
Wow, let's run it. So this is Barbara Marx Hubbard. We have just begun to discover the rise of the feminine. Here we go.
And I went to Sunday school, and I found out the problem was Eve. The story goes that she's the one who ate the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and the Lord God in the old story said, if the humans get like that, they'll be as powerful as gods. And we were expelled from the garden due to the desire of Eve to be as intelligent to understand God. And it's very hard to remember the whole thing in the old story started with the feminine intelligence and its desire to know God. And I realized I would have done exactly what Eve said. And I'll take a big jump ahead to say, it's actually true that what is happening now is we have gained powers of God, not just the atomic bomb, but all the rest of it. We have just begun to discover the rise of the feminine co-creator. That's not just even women's equality. It's not just women being liberated from the oppression of men. All of that's essential. Right. But here's what I see for right now, jumping from 1945 to 2016, is the feminine who falls in love with giving birth to a new world, a better world, like she can fall in love with an unknown child. She can, that's the difference between women and men. Women have babies. Yeah. So that desire in me, going back to myself, when I discovered, okay, the church doesn't know. And then I went to Bryn Mawr College. There was no course on it whatsoever on the future of humanity. Then I got to meet President Eisenhower, went to his Oval Office in 1953. Mr. President, I have a question for you.
Here we go now.
Yes, young lady. What is the meaning of our new power that's good? I have no idea, young lady. So I said, Mr. President, we better find out. Here we are with this huge power. Nobody, the church didn't know, the university didn't know, the president of the United States didn't know. And this little person decided to find out. And I'd just like to say to anybody, anywhere, who has a question, who has an impulse that doesn't seem to be realistic in that moment, if you're capable of continuing to say yes to it, what you do is you activate inside yourself an impulse of the creative process of evolution itself. And if you say yes long enough, like I have, you and that yes become one. And here's my understanding of why it can be a positive future. You have to get evolutionary eyes.
Positive future.
When you do, look at the whole story of creation and put yourself in it. Start 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang, perfectly designed for life. Then go to universe, earth, life, animal life, human life, and now us. And what do you see? Turn after turn after turn. You see a rise of consciousness, a rise of greater freedom to destroy or create, and a rise of greater complexity or order. That's
wow.
So
go ahead.
I just want to say, Dunn has it correct. All buzzwords. Yes, sir. But she has assembled a framework that is kind of stuck around and it's lingering. And that's sort of what is bothering me about this. It lingers in people like Greg Braden and Bill and Lynn Twist and Deepak Chopra. Deepak Chopra is one of her was one of her best friends. We know Deepak Choprastein from the emails. Good guy right there. Improve yourself. My goodness, these people are rotten to the core, unfortunately. Where was it? Yes, here we go. I had one of her books here. It's called, so this is one of the phrases she created. I will put it in the chat for you, Stephen. Gotcha. As an Amazon link. Or wait, was it?
No.
Oh no, yes, sorry. This is a phrase she created called co-creation, right? Or at least she popularized it. I couldn't find a reference to it before her, but I may be wrong on that. But this is essentially her thing. She is the one who has sort of brought this out, this we can co-create with God if we, as she said, activate the yes inside of us, keep saying yes as I have. Yes to what, madam? Because it certainly wasn't Jesus.
Yeah, everything she was speaking about in that interview, it rang a bell of Sophia being the co-creator, right? In Gnosticism, you have the monad or Abraxas, then you have Sophia, who's like the highest of the aeons, right? And it's kind of like she was also hinting that we just have to ascend our consciousness, which can be tied into breaking free of the prison planet, right? With the whole idea of the demiurge. And then also she mentioned the divine spark, the God in her, that fractal of, and then you can come back to source and then be like a God in some sort of way. It's interesting. This is what they believe. This is their religion.
Yeah, that you are God, essentially. I had another thing that she created here, another phrase that she has taken upon herself. This is something that I find interesting too. When we look at Alice Bailey and Madame Blavatsky, they talk of the plan with a capital T and a capital P, proper nouns, as we call them in English language, right? These indicate an individual entry. So she's not talking about a plan, obviously, but they call it the plan with capital T and capital P. And when they've randomly capitalized that in the middle of a sentence, I promise you, audience, something is off. Because David Wilcock talked about seeing a binder called The Plan. And we said it was 6-inch thick binder called The Plan, and it had everything. And it was basically Q. When he told you what the contents of the binder was, he basically told you it was Q. Mm-hmm. Right? So another of these things here, I put in the chat for you, the Shift Network. It was one of those pay me to take my online video courses things she set up with a bunch of New Agers later in her life. So at the start of her life, she was a family woman. She came in contact with Jonas Salk and Buckminster Fuller. Remember, Jonas Salk said, "No one has done more to push my work into the mind of humanity than Barbara Marx Hubbard." Buckminster Fuller called her one of the greatest minds he's ever met. And later in her life, after her stint at the World Future Society, lobbying governments, lobbying the UN, speaking at the Lucius Trust, she evolved into this kind of new age figure here. And one of the phrases she loves to use is the shift. They also capitalize the S here in shift a lot. So when you'll see, and now audience, I promise you, if you go around new age circles, you'll see them talking about the shift. The shift has hit the fan, as they like to say, to skirt swearing. Mm-hmm. The shift. Watch. You will hear it. You'll hear the shift. You'll hear the plan. You'll hear co-creation from people like Rex Bear of Leak Project, who Stephen Greer's wife uses as a platform to sell the C60 buckyballs, right? Made after the Buckminster Fuller design. This is a closed loop that we're looking at. This is essentially the conspiratorial resistance to the World Economic Forum and the Club of Rome and Malthusian depopulation in general, right? I know some of the audience knows some of these names here: Deepak Chopra, Neil Donald Walsh, right? Stephen Dinan. These are not joker. Well, they are jokers, but they are not small fries, let's say, right? These people have an audience, have a following. You're talking about Redfield for the Celestine Prophecy, Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. That whole series, he is great friends with her, Canfield and Redfield. So there's all these networks, all these websites where you can take their meditation courses, their increase your light courses, their crystal healing courses, and they do various configurations of the people. Like sometimes Deepak will be there, sometimes it'll be someone else, right? And then sometimes it'll be both of them. And they just kind of mix and match with their set of friends. And they've been taking people around in a circle this whole time. And it's kind of funny, but it's also a bit ridiculous. The last thing I wanted to show you, this is the Amazon link I intended to send you here. There you are, sir. For her book, Revelation. How dare you call it? Well, it is a word people are allowed to use, but when we hear the content of the book, I say, how dare she name her book that? We'll see. Pull that up, and I will read some quotes John Brisson has sent me off the stream here. Thank you, sir. I think he's doing a show with the Tishbit now.
Tishbite, yeah.
Yes.
Is it Tishbit or Tishbite?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. We'll have to ask him next time.
Yeah. People loved him, man. They enjoyed what he brought to the table too last episode.
Yeah, he has the ancient history down. He knows about the 19th and the 18th century links that created a lot of the groups that this stuff has grown out of. For instance, science fiction used to be kind of an H.G. Wellsian, almost a horror story, kind of an H.P. Lovecraft type. Science fiction was treated as evil and horrifying. War of the Worlds, things like this. But when the World Future Society came about, suddenly science fiction was infused with optimism. And none of those negative authors ever kind of seemed to be members there. I noticed that along the way, like the people who were part of the Cecil Rhodes roundtable groups and stuff. That's where science fiction originally came from. It was a Malthusian creation intended to scare people into trusting Malthusianism because, oh, look at how horrible the future is. It was Malthusian science fiction. This is quote unquote optimistic. Look at this. Revelation, a message of hope for the new millennium, 1998. If you click on the the image of the cover, she has someone who's given her a recommendation at the bottom there. Surprise. And we can actually scroll down on the page further, and there are a few more recommendations. You'll find, your Deepak Chopras, your Edgar Mitchells. They all sign off on this too, folks. So beware, buyer beware.
Yeah.
Buyer beware on
for
this.
the new millennium. And this always is this ties into kind of what I've said in past shows, where I think it's part of Lucifer's plan when he comes here as this light, which ultimately is a false light. It's going to mimic the millennial reign of Christ.
They can only imitate, not create. Right. And that's why it's even a joke for them to say, well, we can co-create with God. No, you can be a pawn of Satan and do his will. Have fun with that. Please don't. Under the, somewhere under here, Barbara Marx Hubbard, there it is. Deepak Chopra says she is the voice of conscious evolution for our time. The subject of Neil Donald Walsh's book, The Mother of Invention. Renowned visionary futurist, evolutionary educator, and inspiring speaker, author of 6 acclaimed books that communicate the new worldview of conscious evolution. She is the co-founder and chair of the Foundation of Conscious Evolution, additionally founded or co-founded many progressive organizations, the Global Association for New Thought, the World Future Society. She was nominated for the vice presidency in 1984. And her campaign was to fulfill the dream, a campaign for a positive future. Need I say more? The Shift Network is a global multimedia event entitled Birth 2012, Co-Creating a Planetary Shift in Time. She fit every one of her buzzwords in that one phrase right there, folks. I will read it again. Birth 2012, Co-Creating a Planetary Shift in Time. All of her buzzwords in what? So she really hit the home run with that one.
Yeah.
They genuinely believed that, humanity would ascend and get light bodies and superpowers in 2012. Demons lied to you, darling. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say on that. But so her influence is wide ranging in many sectors. Like I said, she influenced the direction of space travel and space colonization. She directed the minds of science fiction authors who in turn directed our minds as young people consuming these books. I want to read from this book though, all right? Because that is the sanitized version that you can buy from Amazon. The original version, as it is right here, she has written. Let me gather these notes here. Thank you, John, again, for sending this to me. I couldn't find it with 2 minutes left until Steven started the show. I was stressing, bro. I was stressing, man. I was trying to get everything sorted for this. I'm sorry, everyone.
Oh, no, you're doing great, man. Thank you so much. I'm trying to look for a video. I'm trying to look for a video that I saw of a monk, Buddhist monks, talking about this shift that we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to spam you just for a second with a few images of the book that John has sent me with the highlighted elements. I'm going to read it. You can just put it on the screen if you want to.
Okay.
Just to illustrate that I'm not, fibbing, basically. This is the original version. I would start with the top. I sent 4. This is the original version of this book we just looked at, Revelation, A Message of Hope.
Is it Revelation 6, 7, and 8?
Yes, that's the first part. And so if you pull that up on screen, I'm going to read a little bit of the highlighted parts here. So this is, remember chat, this is a message of hope for the future. Things are going to be all right. Out of the full spectrum of human personality, 1/4 is electing to transcend with all their heart, mind, and spirit. 1/4 is ready to so choose, given the example from one another who has made the commitment. So it's saying a quarter will choose to transcend instantly on a heartbeat. A quarter will do so after that first quarter has gone, the sheep following the other sheep. And it says here, 1/4 is resistant to election. They call it election, and descendants and transcendence. Interesting. 1/4 is resistant to election. They are unattracted by life ever evolving. Their higher self is unable to penetrate the density of their mammalian senses. They cannot be reached. They do not ask, yet they are good. They go about their business, eating, sleeping, reproducing, and dying. They are full-fledged animal humans. 1/4 is destructive. They are born angry with God. They hate themselves. They project this hatred onto the world. They are defective seeds. They have always been defective seeds. In the past, they were permitted to die a natural death. Their bodies were recycled to new life, and their souls reincarnated in bodies capable of receiving signals from the higher self. Let's go to the next image.
Okay.
So she just said 1/4 of humanity must die.
That
That's
sounds
her
like the
message
pale
of
horse.
hope. It certainly does. That is her message of hope.
She
friends.
used that specifically, 1/4.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Because this is their attempt to enact revelation. Because she believes, as she states later in this book, she basically says, it doesn't have to be like that. We can make it happen, and the ending won't be like the Bible's. Good luck with that.
Wow.
Let's continue. We, the elders, don't know what she means by that. We, the elders, have been patiently waiting until the very last moment before the quantum transformation to take action to cut out this corrupted and corrupting element in the body of humanity. It is like watching cancer grow. Something must be done before the whole body is destroyed. Now we approach the quantum shift from creature human to co-creative human, the human who is inheritor of godlike powers and destructive. The destructive 1/4 must be eliminated from the social body. We have no choice, dearly beloveds. It is a case of the destruction of the whole planet or the elimination of the ego-driven, godless 1/4, who at this time of planetary birth can, if allowed to live on to reproduce their defective disconnection, destroy forever the opportunity of Homo sapiens to become Homo universalis, heirs of God.
Wow. This is some heavy stuff. I'll go to the third one. Oh my gosh. Is everyone like, chat, what's your thoughts on this?
Please do. Connect with chat for a second. I need a glass of water.
Okay,
My throat's killing me.
I need feedback from this. This is serious. This is where we're going. This is why we have all of this discord. This is why we have everything going on. This is why the agenda that we're seeing being played out, the dominoes are all falling down. And it's kind of like a stressful, scary, retarded thing to wrap your head around. Where, I mean, even though the Bible does talk about these things, right? But they're flipping it.
I just want to point out to chat, someone was asking if this is Alice Bailey. No, this is Barbara Marx Hubbard. She died maybe a couple of years ago, and her intellectual creations are all over YouTube. They are everywhere. There are hundreds of them pushing her ideology still to this day. It's just getting worse.
Yeah. I'm excited to plug in some names, right? With the people that have been influenced by her.
Yep, we can absolutely go through. I can open up the image. I can just list off some of the names and see what chat thinks about some of these things.
Wow.
Let's go to the third image of her book.
Yeah, we're here.
There's a little bit left, and then we can keep going. So it says, before this stage of power can be inherited by the God-centered members of the social body, the self-centered members must be destroyed. There is no alternative. Only the God-centered can evolve. Only the good endures. Fortunately, you, dearly beloveds, are not responsible for this act. We are. We are in charge of God's selection process for planet Earth. He selects, we destroy. We are the riders of the pale horse death. You don't have this on the screen, I don't think, at the moment. It's the third page of the book.
Is it the third one?
Yes. So yeah, she says, fortunately, you readers are not responsible for this. We are. We are in charge of God's selection process for planet Earth. He selects, we destroy. We are the riders of the pale horse death.
Oh, I don't even have it on the screen. Hang on.
Yes. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say.
That's my bad. That's my bad.
That's okay. There you go. So yeah, right
Yeah,
there.
here it is, right here. We are the riders of the pale horse, death.
She says just below that, we come to bring death to those who are unable to know God. We do this for the sake of the world.
Wow.
Like I said, the person who oppresses you out of their own conscience, they think they're doing good, is far more evil than just having a king who occasionally comes out of his castle and terrorizes people for 5 minutes. This is a Karen looking over your shoulder, a Karen who says, you're a defective seed and you're poisoning humanity. Bye-bye, Cancer. That's what she called, well, us essentially.
This brings back ancient mythologies to me, how, you know, they would do sacrifices, especially in the Mayan, right? The Mayan culture and the Aztec, and how they would do these things.
A favorite of hers.
Yeah, really. Interesting.
Because she pushed 2012, right? She tried to bring that back.
Yes. And it was all about, you know, elevating your consciousness and divinity and making yourself as a god with, and what they would do is they would sacrifice the captured soldiers of war. Mm-hmm. And it just makes me think of Matthew 24, when they'll turn you into the councils and all of these things.
Yes.
And wars of rumors of wars and nation against nation, all this crazy stuff that starts to play out. It's the same idea of
yes, sir.
The ancient mythologies. Just it'll look differently, but it's the same. Wild stuff, man.
I had to pop in chat. Someone was asking anything to do with, does Barbara Marx Hubbard have anything to do with L. Ron Hubbard? The answer is no, she does not. They are completely separate from what I can tell. I have found no links between her and Scientology at all. It's a very unfortunate name combination to do research on, because you do get a lot of Scientology stuff mixed in there when you try to search her up. Throw up the fourth picture, and we'll read this last little bit. There's one part that's not highlighted that I want to read. She says, now everything is global and connected. Each person is about to inherit the power of destruction and co-creation. At this level of individual, Christ-like power, which you are to inherit as the sons and daughters of God, everyone must personally know God's design. The inner voice, the higher self, each person's own connection to God, independent of priest, text, church, or mentor, must be heard directly. The most important step on earth right now, dear readers, is your capacity to listen, each of you, to your inner voice, which connects you to the mind of God and which is ready to give you guidance as your unique role in the creation as an heir to the kingdom of God. The riders of the pale horse are about to pass among you. Grim reapers, they will separate the wheat from the chaff. This is the most painful period in the history of humanity. This is the dark night of the soul of Alice Blavatsky, of Alice Bailey. Sorry, Alice Blavatsky. Same thing, same thing. Yeah. Whatever. Sorry.
I love how dark and evil this is.
This is you do not have to participate in the destruction, she says. You are to be responsible for the construction, which shall begin as the tribulation comes to an end.
So did John share with you that interview of that one prophet guy and Bo, what's his name?
Poloni?
Yes, something like that. And they were talking about pretty much how the great and terrible day of the Lord, and when it comes, this is, anyways, the words that was coming out of this false prophet's mouth was literally identical to what you're reading right now, but he was doing it through a Christian lens and ultimately was wrapping Christianity around it. If you listen to this right here, this can easily be pulled into Christianity, especially where Christianity is at today with all the churches and how just ridiculous it is, and how just how far away from the truth it really is.
Yes,
it
sir.
would not be that too far-fetched to for the church to be okay with this, and thinking that it's a good thing, maybe thinking that it's part of the purification process of the new heaven and new earth. Who knows?
It may be somewhat tangential to the point I was making, but remember yesterday John talked about the Gold Lake Evangelical Conference that happened in the late 1970s, early 1980s, and it led into something called the Lausanne conferences in Lausanne, Switzerland, Lausanne 1 and Lausanne 2, and this was essentially the futurists and the Christians secretly meeting together at Gold Lake, which is the hardest to find information out about because I believe it was Pat Robertson. Pat Robertson was basically a big player in this, and he made it very difficult to find. There were some files online about it at, I believe it was Wheaton College, had an entire Pat Robertson archive, and I accessed some of the files for, hand to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I accessed some of the files and went back a couple of weeks later, and they had been removed. So wow. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. Wheaton College, please return the files. I need them. Well, actually, I think I saved them, so I don't need you, actually. So it's okay. But that's why you always save stuff before you do your research, people. And you archive it using archive.org or archive.is, because it creates an offline copy that won't be deleted when the original evidence goes missing.
Yeah.
So the Gold Lake Conference was the beginning of essentially the evangelicals mingling with science. And it led into this Lausanne, which was sort of the Christians retreating from, they didn't invite as many futurists to Switzerland because they wanted to discuss policy based on what they'd kind of learned from the meeting at Gold Lake. It's a very interesting period. There's very little about it. There's a lady called Constance Cumby, an excellent researcher. She wrote The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow. She was trying to protect the kids long before people like Carol Rosen even had that on their mind.
It's so funny in the chat here, says a reverse rapture, evil trying to rid of the good. I don't get it.
I mean, you're talking, well, essentially the purge. They just want to get rid of the Christians. They just want to get rid of the Christians who won't worship, anyone who won't worship the Antichrist, basically. It's the same stage, right, of the purging the Christians by the Antichrist. She's describing it, but she's talking about, there'll be a time after the tribulation. Well, no, you've been deluded. You've been lied to. Sorry. Demons lied to you. I don't know what to tell you, old lady. But anyway, there's one last page.
Oh, I lost you. You're muted.
I muted myself. Sorry. I was meant to send you a file. I got one last page of that book just to leave everyone off with a little bit.
And then I want to share a video after that.
Please.
This video is insane.
It's all insane, brother.
I think it's going to play into what we're covering. And then, dude, I'm here all night. So I don't care how long this stream goes. We got to cover this stuff. Because I do want to plug in some of the again, like
UFO stuff.
Yeah, we got to wrap that into this because I think
she's basically behind most of the disclosure movement, brother. She and her lieutenants essentially created Greer and the Disclosure Project and Carol Rosen and her husband Cypher. What a great name. What a cool name. So here we go. So she's speaking to the reader. You, the 1/4 electing to hear the voice of God, are my deeply beloved servants now. Are my deeply beloved?
Oh my God!
Is she calling herself God? I'd see. This is what I'm saying. Is she possessed? Is she possessed by Satan?
She is. I think she is. She is.
You are each to practice inner listening constantly. Remember what she said about always saying yes to your inner voice. So you are to practice inner listening constantly. My signals are intensifying. Huh? My signals are intensifying. The design will clarify, and you will be enabled to take your gracious part in the transformation to the degree that you listen to me now. Amen. Before the book of life can be opened, that was her amen, not mine. Before the book of life can be opened, the selection process must be made so that only the God conscious receive the power of co-creators. We will use whatever means we must to make this act of destruction as quick and painless as possible to the 1/2. So see, suddenly we're at 1/2, not 1/4, folks. It always goes up. Possible to the 1/2 of the world who are capable of evolving, to the degree that those of you with eyes to see and ears to hear use that capacity. The selection process will be quick. To the degree that you, the self-elect, you elect yourself. The self-elect allow yourself to be dragged into the disorder. The selection process will be painful and prolonged. It is the difference between an easy birth and a difficult birth. Some pain is inevitable for a transition this profound. The purpose of this text is to act as a guide to the self-elect during the days that are to come. Now, why is there a sanitized version of this book on Amazon? John and I have been attacked by people from the World Future Society and from Barbara Marx Hubbard's estate that say that this was her notepad version of this book and should not have been released. Sorry.
That is insane. When you say attacked, give me an example.
Just in chat, like basically just people coming at you trying to say, you're a liar, this isn't true, she never said that, this was her notepad, you're releasing her private thoughts. In this case, I feel warranted.
Mm-hmm.
That's on me. God can judge me for that.
Wow.
But I made that choice. So, and whoever released this book initially made that choice. I believe it was Constance Cumby. And I respect her with everything I got. I think she's a great researcher. I would love to see her do more shows. She's getting older now. If anyone wants prayer suggestions, pray for Constance Cumby. She paved the way for all of this that John and I have found, basically. A lot of that's why they call it research. You're literally just searching back up things all people already knew, right? You're researching for something.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
I don't know what to make of all this, folks. You decide. I'm not going to tell you what to think about this. But when it looks like, hey, things might actually get better and people start talking optimism and positivity, be a little bit careful, be a little bit suspect. And if you start hearing stuff about, shifts and, we're going to co-create and we're going to evolve and we're going to have conscious evolution, just all these buzzwords, like Dunt said, these are buzzwords, yes, but to these people, they have great meaning and they reveal themselves when they use it because they can't help but tell on themselves because they want to connect with their audience. There's a few times I've seen people like Rex Bear or Foster Gamble. Have you seen the Thrive movies ever? I'm going to get you a trailer for that. Give me 2 seconds. You connect with your audience, and I will grab that because he was one of her best friends in real life. This Foster Gamble guy, and he is held up as a paragon of making the world a better place and fighting the WEF.
Yeah. Shout out Doc Brown. Doc Brown's in the chat. What up, brother? I see him soon. He's going to come hang out with me. And he's going to help me move a couch into my house. You have no say, my friend. Putting a roof over your head. I want to read this because just with everything that we've talked about, let's just go back to the Bible and let's understand that the Bible's truth.
Please.
The Bible is the Word. The Word became flesh. This is God speaking to us, and it's going to reflect what we just went over. And I look and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over a fourth part of the earth to kill with sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth. This is obviously one of the seals of of Revelation, right? We're in chapter 6. This is verse 8. But God's telling us this is something that's going to happen. Now, in my opinion, with eschatology, this stuff here plays out well with Matthew 24, plays out well with the time of the tribulation. And I think it plays well with just what these futurists are saying, according to people who are going to get in their way. And the people that are going to get in their way are the people that stand firm for Jesus Christ. And all the propaganda for so long now is hitting a climax that, you know, it's religion that has caused all of the problems of the world. And they really promote, you know, Judeo-Christianity to be the one that really is the religion that is causing all of these things. And so it just makes me think that we would be, I know we're going to be the ones that get in the way of this, because we're choosing not to believe in a lie, and we're choosing not to worship the Antichrist, and we're choosing not to, you know, fall in line with the rest of the world. So therefore, this has a big deal towards us. This is why I think it's important to have this episode, so that we can bring awareness to people out there that it's these ministers of light that are promoting this. And like you said, you know, when we hear a shift, or when we think things are going to get better or more positive, I really ultimately don't think that is possible, and that's not, it ain't going to go down like that. Like, that's the cheese, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
essentially the World Economic Forum. I sometimes I wonder if Herman Kahn created the World Economic Forum knowing he would disagree with it, literally creating the stick to his carrot, so to speak, right? They threaten you with the stick. Ooh, the stick's very scary. I've got this nice carrot here, right? They're just the fault. It's just another false choice. The world could get better if people prayed enough and genuinely committed themselves to God, and society genuinely changed. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening. I wish it would, but I don't know. I don't know, brothers and sisters. Pray. That's like the only advice I can really give, is pray, and just keep your eyes open for these buzzwords and these phrases. They use it very specifically. Like I said, when they use the shift, the plan, they capitalize it. In the middle of a sentence, it'll be capital T, the capital S, shift, because they're referring to a single thing, and one shift, one specific event that they themselves. So they use these buzzwords to communicate with their audiences. You will notice it. So you've seen Sharon Rose and Jay Widener have used this phraseology before. I believe Patty Greer uses it on Rex Bear's Leak Project when she's selling the Bucky medication to everyone. It's everywhere. You will notice it. You will hear people talk about the shift, and you will just remember all this when you do, and listen to the rest of what they say, because like you said, these preachers of light are waiting with open arms to receive us when the darkness has scared us enough. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the boogeyman trying to scare us into the arms of the Savior, but it's not the Savior, not the one that we want.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. You put the trailer up there.
Yes.
You think I'll get hit with a copyright with that?
I kind of doubt it, because they want it spread.
Oh, okay. You know what? Screw it. Let's try it. Whatever. Where are we at? Where is it? Get over here.
So this was a movie that came out around 2012-ish. I don't have the exact date. It's been a long, long road, folks. You know, from 2005, first discovering Alex Jones by accident, to here and now. This was, 14 years ago, my friends. 3.2 million views. This movie implanted in conspiracy land as powerfully as that Zeitgeist movie.
You know it's old because the trailer's 3.5 minutes long.
And I think it's also 360p, brother, but it's the content. And so what we're going to notice is a few faces and a few names that the very attentive will have heard earlier this show. Let's just take a quick look-see here.
All right, let's roll it. And this is the official trailer, Thrive. What on earth will it take?
My name is Foster Gamble, and I have spent nearly a lifetime trying to figure out what happened that could account for the staggering agony and deprivation on this planet. I set out on a journey seeking to answer questions like, is it even possible for humans to thrive? I found a code, a pattern in nature that's been
Here we
embedded
go.
in arts, icons throughout the centuries.
Oh, wow.
Yes, there
That was a
has
flash
been
of the goddess
fresh
right there, by the way.
craft and bodies recovered.
But who do you tell that you were involved in a UFO incident without them looking at you like you ain't wrapped too tight?
It's not etched into the rock, it's not carved, it's burned into the atomic structure in some extraordinary way.
I believe that they're giving us a model for accessing energy in a clean, safe, limitless way that could completely revolutionize the way all people live.
Right here in this toroid, we have enough energy to transform the entire Earth. And that's not just a theoretical statement, it's literally true.
The energy is extracted from the fabric of the space around us, which means it cannot be metered. That is a direct threat to the single largest industry in the world, energy.
The suppression of UFO phenomena is hand in hand with the suppression of so-called free energy.
An elite group of people and the corporations they run have gained control over not just our energy, food supply, education, and healthcare, but over virtually every aspect of our lives.
The way the system of medicine is set up, medical education is funded by pharmaceutical companies.
We have a privately owned central bank system disguised as a government-owned system.
There is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take.
It gives them the ability to print money in a way that the insiders are protected and everybody else is trained.
No matter where you go in the world, he who controls the money controls the world.
The time has come to say enough. There is another way.
If you want alternative energy, you don't ask an oil economy to produce it for you. We have to produce it.
The power of the internet enables us to share the depth of this research.
There is an extraordinary, fierce group of people who are taking this on.
We can make a real difference right now.
The simple power of truth.
We're not nearly as insignificant in our impact as we think we are.
There is a force that's more powerful, and that's the power of the people.
We can create a world where people can thrive.
Thrive.
Wow. The faces in that trailer. All right, I got to link that trailer down in the description after this stream because
brother, don't you just feel so hopeful? Don't you just feel so hopeful after watching that?
Fritz,
yeah,
whatever.
Fitz, yeah.
You know, the breakaway civilizations, all this stuff, and that's so funny. Now I find it hilarious why she never wanted to come on my show.
She's one of them, bud. She's one of them. We've been knowing this for a couple of years. I'm glad you didn't waste your time, frankly. I'm sorry to anyone in the chat who I don't have the time to explain all of this. This is 5+ years of research. Like, just investigate your heroes, because unless it's Jesus, they're probably not that great. Just saying.
Wow.
So Barbara Marx Hubbard's also in that film because, well, Foster Gamble and her best friends in real life before she died. So this is the kind of, you can see the final stages of the, I'll call it like the optimism of the hierarchy almost, you know. They want to, they scared everyone with the Illuminati and the folks, Alex Jones is here for long enough that now people want to embrace hope.
Yeah.
God's not gonna just hook up everyone's house to the power lines. You know what I mean? Like, the hope that they're peddling is worldly hope, and they know that it's the kind of thing that people would beg God for, but it's not how God answers. He's not literally going to just manifest power lines out to all these African villages and water dispensers, but they're going to say that this is, that's the miracle, right? Making this world better is the miracle.
Well, this is the movement that's going to bring unity, going to bring balance, going to restore the earth in harmony. And that screams deception, number one, but it screams Lucifer.
Well, yeah,
the light bearer.
Absolutely. Yes.
Come on
absolutely.
now.
There is a picture somewhere. I don't have it on hand. I could probably find it of Barbara Marx Hubbard giving a speech at the Lucius Trust.
Goodness.
I mean, it's essentially, it's all in your face, but because all the faces that we've listened to this whole time were a part of this web, that's why they never mentioned it, right? That's why they're not telling you to look into Barbara Marx Hubbard or the World Future Society or stuff, because that's their angle, that's their team. Here, check this out. This is from the luciustrust.org.
And by the way, if anyone goes to that website, you can actually listen to their meetings that they have. And like I said earlier, dude, this stuff can easily be plugged into Christian churches and no one would ever know.
Yes. Yes.
They talk about the Christ in the same way that I even hear your biggest Christian heroes talk about Christ. It's incredible. It's incredible. We got to stick to the Bible, y'all. We we got to stick to the Word of God here, man. And the Word of God lays it out nice for us. Don't be of the world. This is a worldly event. All of this is of the world. We are unequally yoked with the world.
And we are. Goodness. We're essentially, just before you scroll down on that, we are essentially the victims. Like many people in chat know about B.F. Skinner. He would make the dog salivate when he would hit the bell, because the dog thought he would get a treat. Basically, what he said was, all living things are subject to operant conditioning, the effects of their environment on their psychology. Right? If you lived in a place with wet floors, you would learn very quickly never to run. But then suddenly when you went outside, your operant conditioning would say, don't run, you're going to slip, even though you wouldn't. We are all living in a world that is Satan's kingdom. Our operant conditioning is to this world. And so you must fight against anything that feels like it's pulling you back down to this place, that makes you want to stay, that makes you want to hope that there's more to it than what you thought. It's just we really are in a very deep pot boiling, and it takes a lot to get out of that, to break out of the operant conditioning, to not worry about certain things, right? Like God says, it's like, does he not love the sparrows as much as you, or even more than, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of things in the Bible seem counterintuitive to worldly logic because of that operant conditioning, because we are in a fallen world, right? That article, if you just scroll down a bit, you'll see her there. So this is the official Lucis Trust website, folks. They have her picture. They said, hey, readers of this blog will be well familiar with her. Further down. There you go.
Ah, there she is.
So, Barbara Marx Hubbard will be well known to many readers of this blog. What else do I need to say, folks?
I know.
The false light has infiltrated conspiracy land. To a certain degree, because we know a lot of conspiracy was born from the John Birch Society, which is what birthed the Council for National Policy, which is essentially controlling the political angle of this false light, right? Through the Heritage Foundation, through Judicial Watch, who hooked up, remember, with Steve Grush recently for no particular random reason, through the Zionist Organization of America, through the Israeli Heritage Foundation, who gave Trump the crown of Jerusalem, if we all remember that. So the CNP, the John Birch Society, all these groups, they seem to have the political aspect of the false light covered. And then this is the part pushing, this part of it seems like it basically created the other half of conspiracy land, I like to call it. This place we all inhabit, where we're like, I don't want to be a part of that world. And now I'm stuck in here listening to Alex Jones and David Icke. And like, it feels like there's no place for good people like us sometimes, right? Because there never was intended to be. Let's be honest, folks. So, you know, here it is in all its glory, the false light, waiting to catch you with open arms and tell you it loves you, and then say, oh, and by the way, the defective seeds have to go. Depopulation is still on the menu, boys.
Yeah. And one thing too, like before I get into this next video here with this Buddhist, his name is Shaolin Master Shi Heng Yi. He talks about the shift, and he says it's coming. Like we're about to go, either we're about to go or we've already gone into this age of Aquarius. Maybe the age of Aquarius comes when, you know, the Mahdi comes, the Maitreya, this world teacher that's going to lead humanity out of this chaos, out of this new world order into the new age world order. And maybe that's what the shift is. And it's either you're in it or not. And in those that cannot, you know,
can't adapt, as she
can't
put it,
adapt to it,
can't evolve.
Dude, okay, we you gotta listen to this guy, dude, because it's literally going to piggyback on everything. Have you seen this video?
No, probably not. There's so much of it. That's my point. That's why I want to open this topic up to a new audience, to more people, because more people are going to find more than I ever would. Right, the 150 plus people in the audience, you guys could do so much. You guys will know so much more. You will have heard things before that will come back to you that you'd forgotten, and you'll say, oh my goodness, I remember now. This person said that about that. Together we might be able to shine enough of a light on some of this to kind of make it difficult for it to move.
Yeah.
Right? That's our best hope, and to pray and pray and pray and pray.
Yeah. Oh, it's wild. All right. So this Buddhist master, whatever, he says the change is coming. An old era is about to come to an end, and a new era is about to come. Let's roll it.
But I know there are people out there that get the message I'm sending out. And this is very simple. We are at the moment in a cycle of life where everybody, if you're just a little bit aware, you can feel something is shifting. Some people are not willing to maybe adapt to the change. Some people are not strong enough to adapt to the change. Some people don't know how to put it into practice in order to go with the change. It is my perspective. There will come the time, and it's not going to take long, where a natural separation is going to take place, a natural separation. The ones that are able to read the signs, that are able to go with what is happening, to adapt to the changes this world is bringing to us, they will move on to another world. They will move on to another area, to another cycle of us humans being right now here on the earth. And other people that are unwilling, unable, maybe incapable of adapting to the coming changes, it is simple like this. They will stay with the old world, which is about to end. That's the message. That's all what this is about.
Did he get it from the voice inside his head he says yes to?
Is about to come to an end.
Probably.
A new era is about
Man, I'm so tired. I just want to be real for a second.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of this chat. I've been looking at this for 5 years, these people knowing all of this stuff and never being able to actually get it out. So frustrating. So it's so relieving to finally have at least some coherency to this whole thing, to have some record of this whole thing, because just researching this has just worn me to the bone, folks. But exposing it has filled me with an energy that just makes me want to keep going. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, man. Well, that's what we're here for. We're the biblical hitmen, dog. Like, come on. You know, this is the whole, you know, I'm glad how God put it on my heart with how he's shifted the show. Hey, I threw the word shift in there, but like a lot of this is new to me within the past year, but God revealed things to me because I prayed about it for a long time, man. Like I prayed about it for a long time because I knew I was still not finding something that I was trying to figure out. Ever since I've gotten saved, I've been into the book of Revelation. I've been trying to figure out the deception. And I thought I've had it figured out, but I didn't. And the more God was showing me how to peel back multiple layers to this stuff, then I understood. He helped me understand the true nature of the playbook of Satan, where he controls both of these forces of good and evil, and he's using it to manipulate mankind. And there are two pills that go into the same direction. It's either you want to take the red pill, you're still going to get there. You want to take the blue pill, you're still going to get there.
Or the left-hand path and the right-hand path, right? Democrat or Republican. It's a false dichotomy. As far as the best thing I ever heard from someone was, the devil sends sins in pairs, so you feel like you have a choice.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris, for the super sticker, brother. I love you, man. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone here in this chat, and hopefully I know that we're giving out very crucial information. Like this information is not talked about enough, and I'm hoping that there's people that can come across these videos and have the patience to get through the streams, because we're drawing out the ultimate play that Satan's going to do in these times that we're approaching. I mean, we're about to get disclosure in no more than 60 days.
Allegedly. I'm still super skeptical of all this. Because one of the things I was looking through my notes to do this show, Stephen, and I was looking for stuff on Carol Rosen. I was actually just pulling up a video of her for you to play. Because I wanted to illustrate how she's one of the heroes of conspiracy land. And she's one of them. In her autobiography that no one ever talks about, she talks about initiating everyone into the ancient mysteries because they have the answers to our pain. She's the silver-haired lady who said, I was Werner von Braun's secretary, and he told me the asteroid and the Russians and then the aliens, right? Whatever her speech was. You remember her? She's a hero of conspiracy land. She was at the disclosure meeting with Stephen Greer setting up the alien narrative in 2001 for that panel for the U.S. government, where she told that story about being von Braun's secretary. I investigated her credentials. That is the most suspect thing I've ever seen. She's apparently like a PhD in rocket science from a Christian university in like Nigeria, and then the bishop who awarded her degree like barely exists, it looks like. I'm not even sure she even has an honorary degree from whatever it was, the Orthodox Christian College of Nigeria or whatever. There's a lot of cool stuff to investigate. If you like looking for truth and digging up leads and you want to get to the bottom of this, look into some of the heroes that have been pushed on us the most, like Carol Rosen, like Stephen Greer, like David Icke. And a lot of it leads back to Barbara Marx Hubbard. She's the puppeteer who, alongside the John Birch Society, which was like, hundreds of people, she pretty much puppeteered half of conspiracy land by herself, from what I can see. I'm sure it's not as simple as that, but goodness gracious, right? It's a crazy place to go down, to look through, and so many things people have never seen, dude. It's insane. There was a UFO cult in Canada that she apparently went to with the Alfred Lambremont Weber, and they went there, and it was this cult that was talking about getting rid of Bill Gates and stuff. And there was this document I downloaded from some guy called the Son of Gomez, and it was, dude, there's some crazy stuff where they were creating conspiracy theories long before Alex Jones was in place. They were kind of prototyping them, crafting them. And a lot of it was done inside cults and inside these front-facing, like the World Future Society or the Club of Budapest. I don't know, man. Like, we've been told, we've been shown a million ways in which the devil is dark and evil, and he's coming for you with, you know, medicines and trackers and drones. We've seen all the stick. We've seen the stick a billion times. Look at the person showing you the carrot, and you're going to find stuff equally as suspect.
Right. You know, so, you know, I got up here the Denver airport murals. This is something that I'm pretty sure people have been familiar with for a very long time, but it's starting to make even more sense to me with digging into these topics because, you know, the Tibetan rainbow, right? It's a high level spiritual attainment where a practitioner's physical body dissolves into pure light energy upon death. And with the Denver airport mural, I have it up here. You know, it's very, the rainbow, number one, is in the shape of a brain. If you look at it from the lateral position,
right, I see that, yeah.
which is interesting. And all of the world seems to be like it's all one consciousness, right? The law of one, all this stuff. And it's almost like this part of the mural here where you have the Nazi-looking green guy with a gun and a sword with a dove at the bottom, which can mean peace. It seems like this is that purification process that Barbara Marx Hubbard was talking about. Also, I have here a quote.
You're right. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. Actually, yeah, I do now. Yeah. From love comes death. Thus you have the rainbow leading into the sword swiping, right? And it's protected. It's for the kids, which is literally the name of Carol Rosen's book. It was called For the Children. So, of course, won't somebody please think of the children? And she's telling you got to be initiated into the ancient mysteries. You're absolutely spot on with that. That's crazy.
I think so, man. And then once this happens, right? Once this a fourth of humanity is taken out, or it could be more than that, whatever. I know what the Bible says. Then this is what's restored afterwards, because this has been done away with here at the bottom, and now it is that utopia, that it's just
that new world,
that new world,
yeah, absolutely. I got something here for you. Then I've got
wild, man,
for the edification of the audience. That is, we don't have to watch the whole thing. We just literally just seeing her face will be enough for everyone to remember. I'm just looking for the actual quote here. Have you ever heard of Rick Doblin?
No.
Okay. Rick Doblin, John Brisson is far more knowledgeable about Rick Doblin than I am, but basically he's one of the people sort of with Peter Thiel pushing psychedelics as they should be legal. I have an article here called Psychedelics, the Newest Tool in Nuclear Negotiations. And in it, Rick Doblin is basically a CNP stooge working with Peter Thiel. He was hanging out with Carol Rosen in the 80s doing LSD with Soviet ambassadors to try and open them up to, to peace talks and stuff. It's funny how much dialogue with the Soviets was actually controlled by Barbara Marx Hubbard and the World Future Society too. And again, her minions like Carol Rosen you're seeing on the screen here. This lady, I'm sure you all have seen her 1,000 times, right? Oh, yes, Werner von Braun's secretary. Who knows if that's even true, milady, because I can't even prove you got the degree where you say you did.
Wow. Should I run this video? It's only a minute 41.
Everyone's seen it a million times,
Everyone's
right?
seen it, right? Basically, it's the Operation Paperclip scientist, Werner von Braun's former assistant. Carol Rosen says that von Braun explains to her their final play. The last card they play will be the alien card, and it's all a lie. It's the same stuff that Stephen Greer's pushing.
And Perry and Didier and all those guys in the clips we watched yesterday, right? This has been the game this whole time. Okay, I've got a couple of interesting. Where was it? I had typed in shift and I was looking and I'd found a couple of old tweets just as examples. There's nothing too wild here, but there was that one and this one here. So these are some UFO kind of Galactic Federation types on Twitter. There's two of them there for you. Starseed Light 22 and Mr. Merope. Let's look at the phrasing of these tweets really quickly, just for 30 seconds.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
Bam. Boom.
Let's just take a look at these tweets. So this is a typical tweet from the Starseed Light. You know, a new Earth has been prepared for us by Yeshua Sananda, Elder Ikai, and the Galactic Federation. Now, Elder Ikai is allegedly a human who is the president of the Galactic Council, and he channels President Ikai into his body. He goes by the name of Keb Tegata on X. You may see him. He's one of these starseed people pushing Galactic Federation stuff. What can I say? So he says, we are so blessed to be the generation that sees the shift. Okay, fine. Load up the second one here we've got.
Yep.
This is the phrasing I'm talking about that you'll start noticing from certain groups that they use as secret messages between themselves. And the second guy says, after the great shift, and notice he capitalizes G and S because it's a proper noun for an individual subject, a one-off. After the great shift, human civilization will become an intergalactic blah, 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 galactic federation of light, blah, 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 blah. This is the phrasing I'm talking about. This is the random capitalization that indicates that there is the plan, as Alice Bailey said. There is a great shift that they plan, as Barbara Marx Hubbard has said. They're up to no good, folks, and that's all I can really say with certainty is they're up to no good, and this is what I found.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Now, real quick, I know we've talked about it off camera and stuff. I mean, we've even mentioned it to each other probably on a stream, but I think what they're doing with the alien agenda is they're promoting the bad guy right now. There seems to be like they're doing something where this is going to tie in that there's secret government forces that have UFO technology that have been hiding it from mankind, may have backdoor deals with non-human intelligence to ultimately rule and control humanity. Kind of like in the same way with these elites in the deep state are going and channeling and connecting to these entities and are following their protocols to keep humanity in a prison planet. And then I also think there will be a good guy of this where you're going to have these beings here, right? Beings of light, or what's known in Gnosticism as aeons, where because that's what I think it's happening. I think this is what's happening is it's going to come down to aeons versus archons in Gnosticism. You've got
right.
Good influential spirits that are trying to guide humanity to ascending consciously and to connecting with the monad, or there's that they're against the archons, which are ruled by the demiurge to keep you suppressed, keep you ignorant, keep you dominated, keep you
the
in a
man
prison
keeping
planet.
you down.
Yeah.
The divine feminine will free you from the man keeping you down. I have it's funny because the video is now deleted, unfortunately. I put it in the chat, but it's gone. It was on Greg Braden's official channel called The Spiritual Shift into the Fifth Dimension, 2012 through 2030. And I'd posted a quote of it to John. And this is from Greg Braden's mouth. He said, "What if humanity's destiny is guided by cosmic forces and a divine plan? Discover how rare galactic alignments, DNA activation, and the shift of the ages are reshaping Earth's future. Join light workers and the company of heaven in this profound exploration of unity consciousness and the co-creation of a new Earth with Patricia Cota Robles, co-founder and president of the nonprofit educational organization New Age Study of Humanity's Purpose." And basically what that show is, as all these shows are with these people, is a Barbara Marx Hubbard shill interviewing a Barbara Marx Hubbard shill. And that's all this ever is with these people. Remember when we were looking for the list of people who had gone to this meeting yesterday, right? You know, Dediao, Ragland, all these. We were looking for it, and we all kept saying it's a closed system. Look at the people who they appear in shows with all the time, and lo and behold, it was exactly all those people. Well, this is the same format. If you look at Greg Braden and you take a list of his guests, and then you look at those people, it's just a closed circle. You could never get in. You could be the coolest witch. You could be a crystal reader. You could be they're not going to let you in, because this is a closed system perpetuating some plan on us in opposition to what we've been told is evil. It's the false light, folks. I hope we've made our point with the show. I've got so much I couldn't dig through. I can. It's impossible at this point. There's too much evidence, right? I'll just send you a picture you can pull up.
Okay.
I've got this right here. Check this out. So this is Patty Greer. I found this on Amazon. It was a CD of all of her stuff. And so it says award-winning filmmaker Patty Greer presents, and then the third thing down is the shift has hit the fan, connecting free energy technologies to crop circle messages. That's basically just the Thrive movie again, right? They were promising free energy through toroid stuff that the crop circles, aliens were telling us through the crop circles how to design the free energy device. You and I have talked about where that free energy may in fact come from. I won't speak for you, but I personally suspect, given there is a lot of pre-programming in pop culture about souls being used as energy, soul furnaces. Maybe that's where this free energy comes from, friends. I don't want to, I am not trying to be fearful, but if they're saying they're getting free energy, I kind of don't want to know where it's coming from.
I think, I don't know. I looked this up. And tell me what you think about it. And also, chat, tell me what you think about this. Because I think all of this goes back to Eastern mysticism at some point. I think that's where a lot of the root of the occult comes from. I think it's a lot of where Cain and his lineage went out and had this religion. But
what evolved into Masonry, right? They call themselves the children of Cain, too. They trace themselves back as that lineage. They believe they're different from us.
Yeah. So with what we were listening to in the Thrive trailer, right, with this life force energy, which even in Steiner's work, Steiner's an occultist. Steiner, he's a guy who's tapped into the Akashic records, which is like this cosmic memory that, demons feed people when they go into these trances or through these mediums and they channel these things or whatever. But he speaks that the way the Atlanteans were operating their technology was through life force energy. And so it made me start to dig into that concept, life force energy. He talks about it like this, right? Where, we can take coal, right? Coal, when it gets heated up, it creates energy and it creates propulsion. And the same concept goes with how we use fuel today. Well, the same thing happens when you have a plant and you manipulate the plant in a certain way. It holds life force energy, and it could be used. That energy could be used for propulsion. And he was making these connections with the crafts in the Atlantean concept. And so here in Eastern mysticism, Shakti is the primordial cosmic life force energy in Hinduism, personified as the divine mother and the supreme creative power of the universe. As the active feminine principle, she is the animating force behind all creation, transformation, and consciousness, representing power that sustains and drives the universe. Dude, and again, some people may disagree with me, but when I look in Revelation 17 and I see that she sits on many waters, she's this central hub of the 10 kings that have 10 kingdoms. There's kings that have gone through this concept of the harlot, and ultimately the 8th king is the last one that kind of reigns out of the city of the harlot. The city has a lot of connections with the divine feminine, where she's known as the god of forces. In Daniel 11:38, you have the Antichrist honoring the god of forces. The god of forces, the goddess in the mythologies, is known for reincarnation. And we have a situation here where the Antichrist takes a fatal head wound, but then still lives. And it makes me think of the Osiris ritual, where Isis was the whole reason. Isis served the purpose of pulling her husband's spirit out of the underworld back up into the material plane, right? And so it makes me think of Apollyon, why Apollyon is even in Revelation 17 with the harlot. The harlot, in my opinion, is the goddess. And at some point, it's almost like the allegory of the queen bee, right? This harlot is something, a force, because it's counterfeiting the Holy Spirit, right? So it kind of is acting in some sort of similar way. You can hear Bledsoe advocating for that. And it seems like she'll be this force which may at some point maybe be integrated with artificial intelligence. I don't know. Or maybe it'll be incorporated with this Tower of Babel that is this architecture that is able to occupy this force, and then it kind of just radiates through other transmitters, 5G, 6G, whatever it is, and it's able to distribute this force, and connect it globally. But when I look at this, man, I mean, I think that's why we are having UFO disclosure and all this stuff, because its end goal is to lead us to what is that force that's operating these vehicles, and it's gonna connect us to some sort of divine source. I mean, the divine mother is that divine source, in my opinion. I don't know what your thoughts with that are.
Yeah, to them, obviously.
To them.
I definitely agree. I think it's kind of funny because there are some fictional examples too, where it's like superheroes who use their powers, but it shortens their life almost, like burning the candle at both ends. It feels like this technology, like if this technology was operating on life force, it's going to be kind of a horrifying thing. That's why it's such a short, the end times are only 7 years in total, basically, because people take one look at some of this and say, no way, thank you for me, bye.
Mm-hmm.
At least I hope. But then again, it is a grand delusion, and it's supposed to be almost everyone is taken in by it. So it's hard to say, but technology is going to factor into the whole, saving us from it. It's just what villain are they going to hold up as us having defeated, and thus now everything's fine, don't worry about it anymore, right? Like, is it a decoy antichrist in Trump? Is it a decoy antichrist in Benjamin Netanyahu, and Trump is the real antichrist? Is it, we don't know. Is the villain going to be an alien invasion? Like I said yesterday, there's multiple ways to play an alien invasion too. You could simply have it be just like evil aliens. That's all that we see. We only ever meet evil aliens. They attack us like Independence Day, and we fight them back, and there's no sign of good aliens anywhere, right? Or maybe it is like Stephen Greer says, and there are good aliens who will come and save us.
That next movie of Independence Day, that's the whole point of the second movie, is because it had good aliens that were warning mankind, and it was in the form of artificial intelligence, and it was personified as a woman, and it claimed to be just like the civilization of humanity, but it elevated itself, it ascended itself consciously and migrated with technology in order to beat the bad aliens, right? Here in Casey's work, according to Casey's readings with Atlantis, he talks about what it was that powered the vehicles and what ultimately powered everything that they had there, that assisted with all of the technology that they had. And it was called the Firestone, or the Two-Eye Stone, which was a massive cylindrical and prismatic crystal used in Atlantis as a central power source. Now,
like that video I showed you from that video game
Yes.
with that creator who went insane. That's interesting. Very
Yes.
interesting.
Well, I'll tell you this. Let me just type this in, right? So, goddess worship of stones meteorites.
Oh yeah, you've got the you've even got the
I totally
Kaaba.
spelled that wrong, huh?
No,
Yeah, you
that-
got the Kaaba, all that, right? So ancient goddess worship often involved the veneration of meteoric stones, known as the house of God, which were believed to be divine objects fallen from the sky, often representing mother goddess like Cybele, Astarte, and Aphrodite. So again, I think that Firestone could have some sort of, string attached to goddess worship because of this, of how they used to venerate the mother goddess by stone worship.
Fascinating. Yeah, I'd never
Something like that. It's like there's what you said there, the black stone of Kaaba.
Yeah,
right.
right. Very interesting. Yeah, Mother Goddess Association there. It says if you scroll down slightly, scroll down more. There, the stones were where it was. Meteorites were closely linked to the goddess of fertility, Earth, and the Great Mother archetype, Sybil or Bonadea. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Living stones. I mean, I don't know, something there, something to think about at least. Because how I drew out the harlot in Revelation 17, it literally was like I was drawing out the landscape of Atlantis. I had 10 islands around a central hub location, which was the harlot, sitting on all the waters, all the tongues of the earth, all of the tribes, everything. And it might have something to do with artificial intelligence and where they want it to go. I wanted to play a clip here that I heard, that this is from Fringe on X. Shout out to Fringe. I've had her on the show once, and I'm going to get her back on for a live. She's got some crazy stories. She supposedly had like the lady, right, that Bledsoe talks about. She's had an interaction with it to where the lady wanted to download into her and like almost unite with her in some sort of way. But this here, go ahead.
Oh, it's just like Barbara Marx Hubbard, say yes until you merge with the yes inside you or whatever, right? Some weird bunkum, some nonsense.
Well, these are the guys we were talking about last night, right? I forget this gentleman's name. Is that
Joseph Z?
Joseph Z, right? And then we've got Didio is in this video as well. And just kind of listen to what they talk about with disclosure and how artificial intelligence is now going to be incorporated in interpreting this.
The government is getting full disclosure on this. They don't understand it all, but they are being lied to. That was some of the piece that we really took away from it. They are being lied to, and they believe it. So imagine this: the government's being lied to, and they're believing the lie. And now they, believing a lie, are about to announce what they believe to the population.
Yeah, it was every 10 pieces of information they get from these entities, there's one really massive lie, and there are 9 really amazing truths that are helping the government. And so they're just swallowing it all.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be well-intentioned, good-hearted people, and AI plays a role in this, by the way.
Oh, come on, Alan, help us with that.
So bubbling in up to the surface in the middle of all this is this idea of artificial intelligence and the sentience. We were even told that there are many in the government who believe they actually have an AI program that they believe is sentient,
a main one,
and they use it to make a lot of government decisions.
They do
within the executive branch.
That's what we heard,
and that's been going on actually for a long time, before we were talking about AI. But what's going to happen is AI will be pitched as this omniscient mind that's going to help us understand these entities and these beings,
man,
so we can trust what it says.
Wow.
I don't know, man. It's just weird. That clip is weird, man.
That is kind of weird. Yeah, they're sort of talking about. I mean, if you believe that the beast is going to be an AI, then what better candidate than what they're just talking about? And that's the thing about this, is what I'm saying. Like they're kind of happy about it almost in a way. Like it's sort of weird. I don't know.
I know.
These guys are...
Shout out to Craig with the super chat. He says, I believe if the next United States president ends the surveillance state and the forever wars, then I think God would delay judgment on this nation. Just my humble opinion.
Possibly. Like I said at the start of the show, I said the only way out of this is to keep praying and hope God has mercy on us, right? Because the judgment is already here. Like, we get the leaders we deserve. We're at where we're at.
Yeah. What so I know on that trailer that we played, I saw Stephen Greer's name.
Yeah, he was a guest.
How can we tie him into some of this?
Okay, all right. While I dig up a little bit of that, I did send you something quickly in the Discord. It was a book called The Light and the New Human, and you'll love the cover, and you'll be very interested in the reverend who wrote it. The reverend, like this is not a reverend, ladies and gentlemen, that wrote this book. We'll see. I'll go dig up some more Greer thingies for you.
Okay. So we got it up here. The Light and the New Human. The New Human. Book 3 of the foundational trilogy by the Oracle Institute. The Oracle Institute. Dude, that's got a lady on it. Oh, and it's got an owl, which connects to Lilith, and it's also got a snake, which connects to the Minoan snake goddess. So there's some stuff tied in with that. And it's a pentagram, which actually connects to Venus. Because the pentagram is represented with the 5-pointed flower through the 8-year cycle of Venus. When it draws that structure in the sky, it actually draws the rose. The 5-pointed rose. That's why the Rosicrucians have it in the middle, or in their symbol. And also that's why even the Dragon Court has the rose in their iconography of their symbol. It's all fascinating, this stuff.
They do put it out in front of you, but it's not because they're taunting you with it. It's because they genuinely believe that they're right. And it's a secret dog whistle to the people who do know, right? So this is the author here. You could check a little bit of that out while I'm digging for Greer in my pile here.
So this is Laura M. George. Laura George is an internal faith minister, attorney, and perpetual seeker. In 2004, she founded the Oracle Institute, a 501c3 educational charity to help humanity spiritually shift into the new millennium. In 2006, she founded Oracle Institute Press, winner of 5 book awards. In 2015, she founded Oracle Temple, an esoteric church. Currently, Laura is co-founding an international community, the Valley of Light, which shares Oracle Campus. She was raised as a Catholic. Laura began questioning her birth religion at an early age. As an adult, she embarked on a study of the world's religions and studied with Zoroastrian, Gnostic, Melchizedek, and Lakota teachers. By 2000, she was finding answers to the spiritual questions that had haunted her since childhood. On September 11th, 2001, that's crazy. On September 11th, 2001, Laura experienced a spiritual awakening that changed the course of her life. She then began writing the Oracle Foundation trilogy. Her debut title, The Truth About the 5 Primary Religions, won an IPI award in 2006. She co-authored The Love of the Fifth Spiritual Paradigm with such luminaries as Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Maya Angelou, Alex Gray, Bill McKibben, Maxine Hong Kingston, and Wendell Berry.
I'll just pause you for 2 seconds there. Archbishop Desmond Tutu is he factors into this way more than I would have thought so for a silly guy. He's all over this. So if you ever see Desmond Tutu, take a look around. You're going to find something interesting. And also Alex Gray. You know how Joe Rogan likes those weird DMT paintings of like many faces and tunnels, and it's all really colorful and stuff. Alex Gray is the creator of that style of art. Alex and his wife is Allison. So it's Alex and Allison Gray. They live in California. They run something called the Church of the Mirrors or the Chapel of the Mirrors. of which like Deepak Chopra's an advisory priest to this artwork. Yes, this DMT junk. This is all basically like pioneered by Alex and Allison Gray. They're the standard tripper hippie types, but they are deeply invested in the new age. They're pushing some terrible stuff on people, trying to open their own churches and whatnot. And it's not of God, folks. I don't even really need to say that. I don't even really need to say that to your audience. They get it.
This is of the occult.
Yes. Of the or of the, at least of the Gnostic, right? The seeking of I've got to seek out all this knowledge. I must keep seeking knowledge for knowledge's sake. I keep it secret. Don't share it, right? But that's all very Gnostic. If you know something and people should know it, you have to share it, which is why I felt so bad probably sitting on this information for years, you know, and just all these connections. So this is the web of the new age laying itself down on top of conspiracy land and trying to merge without anyone noticing with it so that they can push this false light into everyone. I have a couple of audio clips with, I think it's Alex Jones and Stephen Greer.
Oh, okay.
It's an audio clip only. I
think I might have the video. Let me see if this is it talking about in regards to Amy Eskridge. Is this the dead scientist?
No, mine has to do with something to do with RFK Jr. But yeah, you should play yours, and then I will download these and send them to you so you can play them.
Okay, cool. And I wanted to mention something about Diana Pasulka, right? I think she's involved in this. I think she is tied into the New Age movement. And when she was on Danny Jones's podcast, she was basically talking about how the religion of Christianity was formed from the Catholic Church, which, by the way, I'm going to correct that. Christianity has been here since the beginning. It has been here since Adam. Okay, the truth has been here since all the way in the beginning of the Bible. It's my opinion. You know, people called upon the name of the Lord, before the Catholic Church, but before all of this. Like, I understand the specifics of things, but I just think that saying that Christianity came from the Catholic Church is just psyopy to me. Well, anyways, she was talking on Danny Jones's podcast, and she was saying how, first of all, she was bashing Christianity because of the Catholic Church. And she was saying how the original Christians before Catholicism, kind of started Christianity. She was saying that the Gnostics she was alluding to the idea that the Gnostics were the true origin of Christianity. And she was comparing it to a chocolate bar. And she was like, you can eat the chocolate bar and then figure out what it's made of, or you can look on the back of it and see the knowledge on the back of it and see the ingredients of it. And so she was kind of like making the argument that it's better to look on the back of the chocolate bar and to look at it and to view it that way, which she was then connecting to that gnosis of understanding. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's a Gnostic, or she's pushing the Gnostic idea. And a lot of these people do, and they might not have really a clue about Gnosticism, but they're still kind of pushing it either way. And I think Gnosticism has a lot to do with the forming of the new world religion that's going to unite the world in some way. Maybe it'll just be one segment of many other different kinds of the same idea, where they all just kind of get compiled into one bag.
I didn't mention this on yesterday's show because John had said something. Someone had listed off various cults. What I've looked through quite a few different cults, primarily Asian ones like the Moonies and Happy Science and Aum Shinrikyo, and obviously the American ones. They share a lot of theosophical thought in common, but then the fluff and the filler and the set dressing is different. And I don't think this is by coincidence. I think that the core message of a lot of these cults, and I shouldn't be saying this in the same sentence because I'm not equating the two together, not out of judgment, but like Scientology and Mormonism also have an alien component to their belief system. A lot of these newer religions share a lot of theosophical components, and I believe that is so that when something does happen, they can all say, well, look, we were all, we were right about this, and yeah, we were a little bit wrong about that, but that's okay because look, everyone else was all saying the same thing as well, therefore we all must kind of be right and come together, and they'll merge a lot of these cults together. They would fit well together given the right push. Basically, like you could easily see like Happy Science merging into Scientology and the Moonies hanging out with the Scientologists. Like they could easily be friends because they at the core believe something very similar. And it would be easy for people to brush it off and say, okay, there were just a few errors in Mormonism and in Scientology. And like they got most of it right, a couple things wrong. We'll trim those out. We'll edit the text, get rid of the wrong stuff, and we'll have this core Bible assembled, I hesitate to call it that, this core text, assembled from all these various cults. That's my guess.
Yeah, and I connect all this kind of stuff that we're seeing being played out right in front of us to an Atlantean agenda, an Atlantean narrative. At the end of the day, I mean, Blavatsky theosophy, its roots are deep in with Atlantis.
I definitely have to point out though that there is a logical flow to the possibility. Like we all know about the fake alien invasion, we all know about Atlantis. Could you just hear me out for a second? Like there's a logical order to these things. Like if you tried to play the alien card and then you tried to play the Atlantis card, people would kind of just shrug their shoulders and say, we don't care about Atlantis because aliens are real. So to maximize your profit, so to speak, from your available tool bag, if you're the Illuminati or whoever, you would want to play Atlantis first before aliens, because then it's still impactful. And it could easily lead in, like we've seen through all the pre-programming on television with like Stargate, SG-1, all blah, 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 blah. You could easily lead Atlantis into the alien narrative, and then you get two punches instead of one, basically, on the public, on the public consciousness. You get to break people's psyche even more, and sure, they could say, well, Bigfoot's real, but it has less impact. The origin of humanity is a big deal. That matters to everybody, right? Aliens sort of impacts everybody, kind of matter. Like they're picking and choosing what to do in what order to maximize their impact. Oh, these two. Oh.
I know. Well, these guys are a big part of it, man. These guys are a big part of it, man. Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock.
I think Mason Carlson and Theosophist Hancock. Hancock's first lecture on this was at the Theosophical Society in London.
I know.
Come on. But no, he's the hero of conspiracy, but we hate theosophy, right? Like theosophy was the bad guy, but that's okay. He's friends with them. It's such hypocrisy. Conspiracy land is rife with hypocrisy and doublethink. Yeah. And a lot of it is unintentional. People are good people. They just have to be shown this bunkum. I'm sorry, hit it.
Okay. We'll roll it. This is Graham Hancock and Randall Carlson talking about hidden wisdom.
Actually, that some of the mysteries in our past that remain to be exposed do concern secret societies and do concern a behind the scenes organization that is somehow involved in making civilizations. I won't go too far into that, but there are so many traditions, for example, from ancient Sumer, which speak of this, which speak of the role of these particular advisors who seem to be part of a esoteric or secretive group, which is there to guide and advise societies over very, very long periods of time. And the academic disbelief that such ideas could be retained for thousands of years is, in my view, nonsense. Passed on within a highly structured oral tradition, the ideas can survive potentially forever.
Potentially, yes. And it brings us to something, a question that I've intrigued me for a long time, which is that given catastrophes, one of the details of myths over and over again is that there was some group, some individuals that had foreknowledge.
Yeah.
Now, where did that foreknowledge come? I mean, we can kick it upstairs and say it was some kind of divine revelation, but that doesn't really explain anything.
Lost ancient science.
Right. right. Somebody had foreknowledge. They were able to prepare, again, referring to like the Masonic craft. There's a legend of Enoch knowing that the flood was going to come. And so he took steps to preserve the ancient science and stories by.
And of course, it's the same story with Atrahasis in Mesopotamia.
Yes.
Warned by the god Ea or Enki of the coming of the flood, takes steps, makes preparations, and even buries tablets.
See how they're making Enki the good guy?
Yep.
You hear him throw that in there, right? Oh, he's warning whatever the character is in the ancient Sumerian epic.
Atrahasis, I can't remember.
Something like that. This Noah figure, let's just say this. Enki is Lucifer, and he's saying that Enki was warning him that a flood was coming.
With knowledge upon them in the city of Sippar.
Yes, and
to be recovered later by mankind after the disaster.
Well, and then like Plato says right there in Timaeus, he says, well, those who survive are going to typically be who essentially survive by the luck of the draw are going to be wholly preoccupied with continuing to survive in the aftermath, in the desolation of in the aftermath of a flood or a catastrophe, whereas those who took steps to prepare are going to be the ones who are preserving the knowledge to pass it on. And that to me does not sound so exotic or esoteric or ridiculous that, I mean, even today we have prepper movements, people who are
it sounds perfectly reasonable. When it comes down to something that threatens the existence of the entire human race, we are an innovative and inventive species, and we would find a way around it. We'd find a way to keep the seed of knowledge going, to keep it coming through the catastrophe to the times that followed. And that's what I think we're living in. We're living in the times that followed, and that's what the ancient Sumerians also believed, that we're living in the post-Diluvian era. And this is ultimately the same story that Plato is telling us in the Atlantis tradition as well.
I'm telling you, dude, the Atlantis mysteries are these guys' Bible.
It's their whole life, absolutely. But don't forget, Graham Hancock is guilty of, Graham Hancock is the reason for two other conspiracies that have gained mainstream attention and are in the form in which he left them. He was the author of Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which did the Sangral thing. It split the word in two, like we saw in the Da Vinci Code, where it means holy blood instead of the holy chalice. So he's responsible for that. So thanks for that. And he's also responsible for the popularization of the Ark being in Ethiopia. So no, I don't believe that either, because it comes from him, one of the greatest deceivers that conspiracy land has. Literally, a Mason and a Theosophist are going to tell you the truth. Are you kidding? It's too much. It's too much. We have been told to everyone always that nothing bothers me more than when someone says, have an open mind, because my initial reaction is, why? What do you want to put in there? Right? That's the only reason someone would tell you to have an open mind. It's because they want to put something in there. So you know what? I treat the mind like a fortress. I keep the doors closed and I keep the guards on watch. I'm not just going to leave it open and let the guards go leave their post. No, keep the armor of God on, folks. He's watching out for us in ways we don't even know.
Right. I got your audio files here of Greer.
Yep. And then I posted the full interview that he had with Jones. It's still up on Twitter.
Okay.
Thank you, Jones. But yeah, that was just Stephen Greer. It's just two interesting quotes. One of them ties into the Kennedys, actually. RFK Jr., he's going to save us from the medicine. It's always the heroes going to save us from something that tie into all this. I wonder why you haven't heard of any of this. So here, the internet really is. I mean, if this world is Satan's kingdom and the internet's like its greatest creation, there's got to be some evil going on here.
What are you? What are we rolling here? What do we got here?
Okay, so
tell
we got
me where to go. Now I can hear you.
Discord, Real Alex Jones tweet, and that's him interviewing Stephen Greer, and then skip to 15:15.
Which clip is it here? I've got MP3s.
Oh, below those MP3s, because that's what caused this problem. The X link for Alex Jones.
And all right, so 16:16,
15:15,
15:15. We got it. We got it. Okay.
As long as it's not 6-7, I can't handle any more of that.
Oh my goodness, I know.
I can't do it anymore, folks.
Oh my goodness,
the kids these days are not all right.
Well, you know, what's so funny is I heard Didio actually said a joke about 6-7 on one of his streams, and I was like, come on, man, like
they're trying too hard, you know.
Oh goodness, man, come on. All right, here we go.
Lord have mercy on us.
Let's roll this bad boy, and I will edit that out later.
Senior people, I don't want to say who in the administration has been getting read in.
So what's the context here?
This is super okay. Yeah, so this is super important. If you just rewind it 5 seconds, just so we can get the full deal here. Greer mentions high-level people in the government who've been briefed. He also makes an offhand. I have to pull up my notes with John here. He makes an offhanded comment at some point about meeting them at Mar-a-Lago. And so I was narrowing it down to which, because he was talking about a former general who knows the most about UFOs. And it's either John B. Alexander or Michael Flynn. And I can't necessarily figure out which of the two he's referring to. I was able to slightly narrow down the date. It was towards the end of 2024 when he met this general at Mar-a-Lago to brief Trump about UFOs.
Mm-hmm.
But let's listen to this. This is interesting.
Much of that, hundreds of pages he's read. The
Trump.
one-pager, I know for a fact, that you're looking at that has executive orders. And I've met extensively with some senior people. I don't want to say who in the administration has been getting read in. The person I would say is the most informed
Pause
would
after
be
this.
Amaryllis Kennedy, who's RFK Jr.
Yeah. Amaryllis Kennedy. Now, her real name is Amaryllis Fox. She used to be a CIA operative. Well, there is no used to be, but she is a CIA operative who is married Kennedy's son, RFK Jr.'s son.
Mm-hmm.
And Stephen Greer just mentioned her as the person in the government who knows the most about UFOs. Keep your eyes out for Amaryllis Fox Kennedy. She's a big deal in this. And to tie in, we can keep playing that, and then I'll tie in Kennedy at the corner.
Daughter-in-law, and she's on the White House Intelligence Advisory Group, and we'll be working with Tulsi Gabbard at DNI. So we have people who have good knowledge. I've known her for a few years, and what I'm hoping will happen is that we'll be able to get a team together within the administration. It's very early because this issue is enormously complex. I was talking to a general in Mar-a-Lago not long ago who I don't want to say who it is, but he works very closely with the president and also in his first administration.
I think Flynn.
And he didn't know a whole lot of information. He hadn't been read on, and he says certainly the president hadn't. And yet we have all this evidence. So I said, this is...
Well, we know from the first administration, the neocons that were hiding in there.
Yeah.
And we have the phone calls, now transcripts with Biden. As soon as Trump gets in, he goes, listen, he's going to find the money we're doing. He's going to get sophisticated. If you ask for money, we'll give it to you through the IMF and World Bank.
Right.
So, and Trump said that they kept almost everything secret, not just the most secretive stuff, but like, you know, what hundreds of billions going to all sorts of scams.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, but a lot of those scams here. Let's look at this. At the crown jewel of this, what they call the deep state, is the UAP, UFO related programs. Why? Because it's the top technology in the world. Surveillance, energy, propulsion, and technology wins. So
that's about energy.
And it's about energy because the global energy system is a globalist entity. In the United States, although we have a lot of energy, the reason we're so dependent on other places is that's by design.
Okay, let's pause it a bit. We can kind of see them stressing almost the need. It's like, well, the energy grid is the Illuminati, and the money is the Illuminati, and the food is the Illuminati. So all these things are going to have to be replaced by a hero who frees us from them. replaced with what? For example, we all remember Trump during the cough 19 times. When it first started, he was Operation Warp Speed, Operation Tiberius Kirk, Palantir, best thing ever, best shot ever. Then he lost, and suddenly it was all resistance. Stop it. Don't take it. This is bad. I have a feeling he didn't intend. Well, let's be honest. He didn't intend to lose that election to Biden, and that indicates to me why they made that shift from going from Operation Warp Speed is the greatest thing ever, to it's a nightmare. And I fully feel like they intended to take that all the way. And if you look at some of the things that happened during that time, he surrounded himself with people like Vivek Ramaswamy. Did you know Vivek Ramaswamy runs a $100 billion plus pharmaceutical company?
Really?
Yeah, it's called Rovit Pharmaceuticals. And his brother, Shankar Ramaswamy, also runs a different pharmaceutical company involved in mRNA research and all this. So they were fully planning on controlling that event to essentially, propel themselves to the top. And then they lost the election. And where's Vivek? Well, he made that H-1B visa comment and he's gone. Right? He can't have what the internet basically said, well, Vivek wants infinite Indians to take my jobs. And that didn't go over well, did it? So now he's out of the public eye. Kennedy, though, Kennedy has been very resilient throughout all of this. He flew with Jeffrey Epstein on February 17th, 1993 or 4. I can't remember, but he was on the plane. He took his family, his kids, they went fossil hunting, whatever that means. He took his kids around Epstein on their plane. At one point, Epstein apparently, according to one of the memoirs about this, Epstein got really, really mad at some point over something, and he was like yelling at Ghislaine Maxwell, made her cry, got off the plane for 2 hours to do whatever, and then came back in a fantastic mood. Don't really want to know, guys, but RFK's no hero for anyone who has that under their belt still. Here we have, I'll put this in the show private chat for you. This is a tweet asking, what does it mean that UFO lawyer Danny P. Sheehan is at Thanksgiving dinner with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.?
Let me pull this up.
This random UFO lawyer, the guy who created Christ consciousness, he is the rotund gentleman at the bottom left there with the gray hair.
Yes.
Danny P. Sheehan, UFO lawyer, at Robert F. Kennedy's Thanksgiving dinner with his family. I don't know what this means, folks, but this family loves them some aliens. And they intend and they're going to intend to profit off some of them aliens. One of the people in the video I played at the start, his name's Art Dula. He is legitimately a space lawyer. Not like a joke YouTuber like Danny Sheehan, who runs the Christic Institute and invented Christ consciousness as a concept. Thanks for that, Sheehan. I hope you enjoyed Thanksgiving with Kennedy. I'm sure you told him all about Christ consciousness. But Art Dula is an actual lawyer, and he has written some treatises on how property rights extend up into space to infinity, which would indicate that ownership of the moon would fall upon only the nations basically in the around the equator of this planet. We're talking like America, Mexico, a little bit of Africa. They are drafting legislation about who owns the moon. That's done by Art Dula, one of Barbara Marx Hubbard's World Future Society friends. These people are all over it. They've been working at this for years. Remember, Stephen Greer said he knew Robert F. Kennedy's daughter-in-law for years, to Alex Jones just now, right? This is a closed circle. These people pretend they just met. They didn't. They've been knowing each other for a long time, and they're faking it, and they're lying. Oh, what a coincidence. I just met this person. Meanwhile, you read their biography, like Carol Rosen. She tells you like, oh, I only just met I can't remember the person's name. I think it was Edgar Mitchell. But then in her biography, she literally says he lived down the road from her. Which is it? Were you lying then, or are you lying now? These people are liars, and you will catch them in their lies eventually. So be alert, folks.
Wow. You know, and every time RFK gets on the microphone, which I think he actually just came out with his own podcast, and I'm not sure if it's aired yet, but it's called Truth, right? Truth something.
I'm not sure. I tend to avoid what everyone else is looking at because it's like too many cooks in the kitchen for me. I like to look around the edges and just see.
If anyone in the chat knows what his podcast is going to be called, throw that in the chat, because I saw something like that and I was kind of, again, it just kind of flashed to me, man. And plus, I showed a clip of him not too long ago talking about his view of God, and it's not Christian, man.
No,
it's not Christian.
That's the thing though. It's based in Christianity. That's the thing, is they have to construct the cake. Like they're pulling the cake, like to make this Antichrist disaster. They first have to kind of put people, like put the cake in the oven, let the batter mix, you pull it out. It's like, this is a good Christian. Now you're decorating it with all the evil sigils and all of your modifications to what you have to. The devil has to make people into Christians first, at least to some degree, because if the Antichrist comes along and says, I'm actually God and I'm standing on the Temple Mount declaring himself God in the temple, if everyone was an atheist, no one would care. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he has to get people to care in a way, and only really like Christians and Muslims and Jews are going to care about any of this necessarily at all. Everyone else is just going to think, oh, cool science man, or oh, cool ascended master, right? Like Blavatsky or Buddhism or whatever. Yeah, it's all it's hard. It's called the Secretary Kennedy podcast. How original.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And he really, I'll play the clip here. Let me get it up. I also want to play a clip of him too, talking about more prison planet, break free of the prison planet kind of type stuff.
Scientology.
They're trying to make you a slave, all of this stuff. This is RFK talking about his podcast.
HHS secretary. This podcast is about telling the truth, especially when it's uncomfortable.
Okay, now literally everyone has a podcast. Let's break down what happened. RFK Jr. says his pod will feature fearless conversations with critical thinkers and expose hypocrisy and corruption. Kennedy is a longtime anti-vaccine activist and has pushed debunked claims that vaccines cause autism. They don't. His tenure as the nation's top health official is featured.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this guy.
I'm not either.
Video.
Yeah, I think he doesn't. We don't need him. We just needed the Kennedy clip.
Yeah, I think this guy needs to actually look at the CDC files and actually look at how much heavy metals are in the V's, and also how they actually, their purpose is to penetrate through the blood-brain barrier, and the toxicity. I used to work in clinical research. Okay, like there's a lot of stuff to that. That is. They say it in their documents. I've read them, and the toxicity level is at 400%.
Yeah.
Okay.
They know. But I do want to say something too. I don't know if anyone in your audience is familiar or unfamiliar with Dr. Kevin McCairn, but during the cough times, he put everything on the line for all of us. He acquired samples of the medicine that they wanted people to take. He was a former brain scientist in Korea and basically lost his job for McCairn, like a Irish name, McCairn. Yeah, and then like delete that O. Thank you, sir. He's also that gentleman, Kevin McCairn, principal investigator, retired. So he was a brain neurological scientist at the Korea Brain Research Institute. And during cough times, he lost his job, acquired samples of it. A lot of us donated money for him to buy lab equipment. You can see that under Neuroscience News there. We ended up getting a lab going for him. And he analyzed the samples. And when he looked through it, he was saying, I don't see snake venom. I don't see nanobots. I don't see alien eggs. But do you know what he did see? Little shards of glass, little pieces of metal from rushing the production. You want to know why it was so deadly? It was because it was rushed. Not alien eggs or nanobots, guys. Business. That's what did it. And he put his life on the line. I don't, you know, I'm not a big fan of promoting other channels. He's a good man. I believe in him, that he told us the truth and stuff. And his explanation carries a lot more logical weight than any of the other bunkum I heard that, you know, the right wingers, like these people were pushing, like America's Frontline Doctors, saying that it had snake venom or alien eggs in it. It was as simple as little pieces of machinery getting brushed off into a vial because the machine was going at 300 times the speed, you know?
Yeah.
Just,
Here, I want to play this clip here.
Heartbreaking, but
this is more of him talking against Bill Gates.
At that time, defeat the mandates.
They are putting in place all of these technological mechanisms for control we've never seen before. It's been the ambition of every totalitarian state from the beginning of mankind to control every aspect of behavior, of conduct, of thought, and to obliterate dissent. The mechanisms are being put in place and will make it so none of us can run and none of us can
Pause.
hide.
Did you see that? He admitted, he told on himself. Rewind it 5 seconds. He told on himself. Look, he says the mechanisms are being put on place and we play it right from there. Yeah. And then play it.
Mechanisms are being put in place and will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide.
We? Who's we, Mr. Kennedy? You see, they tell on themselves. They don't have to tell us, because that theory of, oh, the elite have to tell us before they do something, that's from King Kill 33 author Shelby Downard. Shelby Downard is friends with a man called William Grimstad, who wrote a book called The Rebirth of Pan. I think I talked about that on your last show, where they said, if we pray really, really hard, we can bring back the black magics that Christ banished. So that's where the theory that, oh, they have to tell us what they do, came from Shelby Downard, who's friends with a pan-worshipping lunatic. So no, they don't have to tell us what they do. They tell on themselves because they're stupid. They're blabbermouths. They can't help but brag. And they tell on themselves, folks.
Wow.
Within 5 years, we're going to see 415,000 low-orbit satellites. Bill Gates says his 65,000 satellites alone will be able to look at every square inch of the planet 24 hours a day. They're putting in 5G to harvest our data and control our behavior. Digital currency that will allow them to punish us from a distance and cut off our food supply. Vaccine passports. You have a series of rights, as flawed as our government is. You can still go out and go to a bar. You can go to a sporting event. You can get on a bus or an airplane and you can travel. You have certain freedom. You can get educated, etc. The minute they hand you that vaccine passport, every right that you have is transformed into a privilege contingent upon your obedience to arbitrary government dictates.
And he's not wrong. Don't get me wrong. I want to address something in the chat. I am by no means saying that I know the chemical mixture that was given to people. I'm not saying there was nothing in there but glass and metal. But I'm saying a scientist who had a vested interest in discovering what was wrong with this stuff, that's what he saw. That's what we could see. We didn't get the spectrometer to tell you exactly what chemicals were in it. We didn't get these $10,000, $100,000 machines, right? It was like a chat of 400 people. We got them a microscope and a new computer and like what we could. And we got the results that we were able to. I don't know what was, I can tell you, I wouldn't have touched that thing with a 50-foot pole. Never have, never will. I don't trust that. I don't know what's wrong with it. Something's wrong with it. But I can tell you what was found, and that was like industrial rush, which is consistent with, which is what we saw. We saw an industrially rushed medicine, and those are the logical consequences of it. Whatever else was wrong with it, I don't know, and I'm not saying for certain. But at least that was something that was wrong with it, and that could explain some of the issues that people had. I don't know what caused the clots. I really don't. And all I know is that it looked like two different groups were both trying to use that to get one over on us, right? The bad guys were using it to crush us as they're supposed to. I bet you anything the devil has told, you know, the Klaus Schwabs, the Justin Trudeaus of the world, the Joe Bidens of the world, whatever. I bet you he's told them, you know, you're going to win. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm on your side. You're going to win. Just keep doing it. Just do more. Nah, they won't care. Just do it. Do it. Do it. And he's pushing them to be more villainous under a lie. I mean, ultimately, like, I don't think some of these people would have done these things unless they were either A, possessed, or B, assured of their own safety, really, you know, or their own success. You got to lie. He's got to lie to these people, right? Like the devil has to lie to these people for sure to get them to do some of these things. Who's the fall guy and who's the false savior? I don't know yet, guys, but it's coming.
Yeah.
They want it to come. And even if we fight it off now, 10 years, 100 years, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Eventually it will happen. We know this because it's been foretold by God, not by them. They could fail. They absolutely could fail in this. I really do think that the Antichrist is more of it's like Satan is casting a film and he's holding tryouts and nobody can quite seem to get what he wants quite yet. But when they do, then it's show on, right?
Right.
And until then, you know, we're living through these cycles where they attempt this, it fails. They attempt it again, it fails. They attempt it again, it fails. Until it doesn't. It's like I say about Q. It's really easy for us to like laugh at Q and make fun of the alien stuff and the Galactic Federation stuff, but they intend to make it come true. So there will come a day when it's no longer able to be laughed at. And so it's better to get ahead of it and try to prepare people for it so that when it is no more a laughing matter, they're not taken in by it.
Right.
It's a tough situation that we're all in. Like, we all have lives to live. We all have bills to pay.
No doubt.
We want to enjoy ourselves as well. We want to enjoy our time here. We want to put time aside for God. But how much time that we could have spent reading the Bible with God are we spending on these silly topics about these silly people who will ultimately lose in the end, despite them thinking otherwise? You know, some of these people have said that they're going to survive God's judgment, right? Like Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock basically said, like, oh, buy your prepper food and don't worry, you'll survive God's judgment, because it's not really God's judgment, it's just aliens or whatever. It's just cycles like Hinduism, right? Making light of all this stuff. A lot of people are going to be very disappointed, and that breaks my heart, frankly. I really wish that weren't the case. Yeah, it's been foretold, though. It's not up to me. I genuinely, I'll probably get some pushback for this. I've gotten pushback from John for this before. Part of me wants to believe, and this is the hope that they prey upon, but part of me wants to believe that God's ultimate victory over all of this is that he actually forgives everyone. Even the Muslims and the Jews and the atheists. He forgives everyone and takes everyone into heaven. And hell is a lonely place with just one person in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, not even a person, a fallen angel. You know what I'm saying? I think, wouldn't that be the ultimate victory of the loving Father, would be to show ultimate mercy, even when he said he wouldn't. I'm not saying God is a liar. I am not. I'm simply saying it's up to him to choose what he does with each one of our souls, and I hope he keeps every single one of us, whether we deserve it or not. Well, none of us deserve it, you know. Some of us may feel like we deserve it because we have chosen this religion for ourselves. But I genuinely do love all people just as much as my fellow Christians, and I really wish the best for them. I don't know how this ends, guys, but
yeah. I mean, and hopefully the gospel saves in these times more than I think more than we, want to think. Like, I'm hoping that when, even when the two witnesses come out and their bodies sit in that city, for days, right? The martyrdom from them, is what just starts to turn people to the faith.
Yeah.
And getting the gospel out there is important, right? And if we can do it as much as we can, I mean, it's important right now.
That was kind of what I was thinking, was the more we get the gospel out there, the more we make what will happen known to others. When it does happen, they can't be taken by it. If someone has told you, oh yeah, hey, there's this guy, he's going to get shot in the head and die, and then he's going to come back to life, and it's going to be really weird, and people are going to love him all of a sudden, but he's actually the bad guy. It's really, you just have to let someone know ahead of time what they're going to see, and it can be as simple as that. And maybe that saves a person, because literally not because they know Christ yet, but simply because they know what the Antichrist looks like, and they don't want to yoke up with that, because most people are good. And they need to be shown the good God, the actual good God, the only God who actually would sacrifice himself for his creation. I haven't found that story in any other religion where God actually said, no, I will do this. I will hurt for you. Every other God says, no, you're going to hurt for me. I'm going to eat you. I'm going to do this. You're going to obey me, and maybe I'll be nice to you. Like what Barbara Marx Hubbard said, your rewards will be consummate with how well you obey me. What? Who even was she speaking? Who was speaking through her mouth when she wrote that? The devil. It had to have been.
It had to have been.
So I don't know what we've seen here tonight, chat. This is, like I said, this has been 5 years of unrelenting research and confusion and annoyance and stress, and I'm really glad to have got it out there. Thank you so much, Stephen, for letting me
thank you, man,
share this with your audience and just broaden their horizons a bit as to who's working against them. These people don't have your best interest at heart, and I just wanted to let you all know that.
Yeah, man. No, great job, man. You're really doing the Lord's work. God's working through us. God's working through the chat. God's working harder than, we're giving him credit for. I think he's really working on the hearts of people in these times. He's working on how we're distributing the information out to others to kind of start to ring some bells in some sort of way. And it's the time to get the gospel out there more than anything, and to understand that, we are sinners. Like, we've sinned at least once in our life, and that's too much for God. He's a righteous God. And the beginning of salvation is where you understand, I am a sinner. Well, if I am a sinner, then I can't be in the presence of God. And the way I can be in the presence of God is by his son, Jesus Christ, right? And you believe on him, that he died for your sins, right? That he trucked that cross all the way up to Calvary and hung on it for you, that he loved you before you even loved him,
before you even existed. Well, that was what you said earlier. You said Christ existed before the New Testament, before Christ was even born. Yes, Christ has always been, and he only just then descended down. And it's just, I think it's so magical to be able to have one religion with a message so different from all the others, where God didn't ask for a sacrifice. Like, yes, God asked for sacrifice from people in the Bible. I'm sorry, but look, he's not asking us to sacrifice our firstborn on the mountaintop, because he changed the deal with our Lord and Savior Jesus, right? He's no longer asking, he stopped asking us to sacrifice for him by demand, sacrificed for us willingly, and now we give back to him willingly. We sacrifice to him willingly, not because it's a certain day of the week, not because we want to. And I can't, maybe I'm closed-minded, but I can't see that dynamic in any of these other faiths. And I'm not even trying to be aggressive or insulting about it. But there is something special about this religion that is different from the others.
Yeah.
And even to me, when I was an atheist and I was just simply obsessed with logic, what brought me to Christ was logic. A silly Pascal's wager, because I looked at the math and I realized, wait a second, and that alone isn't enough to have you be saved. Wanting to be saved because of the math says it is the optimal survival strategy. That's not faith. But it grew on me over time. And as my faith grew, I was provided with more evidence, right? Faith precedes proof. And there's a lot of false prophets and false preachers who are willing to no end to give people their proof before to earn their faith, right? Another inversion, another satanic inversion. Proof before faith. That's the satanic one. Faith before proof is what we practice or what we try to. I don't know. Maybe I can get your opinion on this. I'll just ask you a question. Sorry. I always kind of see it as, with the Holy Trinity, I see a dynamic that works out well, especially when thinking of judgment. Father is like the judge. The Holy Spirit is the prosecution, bringing our crimes to court for all to see. And Jesus is the person who steps up as literally our free defense attorney. I don't, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone can correct me. But that's kind of how I see this dynamic, how I see the three elements of the Trinity and how they act upon us: the prosecution, the defense, and ultimately the judge, who decides what to do with us given the arguments presented by the other two parts of himself.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. That's a good point, man. I mean, in a way, for us to understand it, right, with our mushy brains.
Yeah, to kind of to unfortunately apply this world on top of, which is what we shouldn't be doing. So maybe you are correct in that manner. But I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around it, and I only have this life, and that's why it's called faith ultimately, because we are stepping out off of the edge of something and believing that something is there to catch us. And so there is like your biology will recoil at certain ideas, because again, it's the Skinner's operant conditioning of Satan's kingdom on us. I need the money, I can't donate. I don't want to do that. It might hurt. I don't want to crawl on my knees for an hour and speak prayers to my God, because that might hurt my knees. Something, anything, whatever the example, you know, pick whatever you want. But it's hard to be a product of this world and still and detach from it, right? And to get away from it.
Yeah, yeah.
So to wrap our mind around it, sometimes we have to apply a little bit of this world or so we can share it with others even. You know, like maybe I could, like I was telling you last show, like my mom's an atheist. I don't know if I'll ever get through to her, but maybe with more, unfortunately, start with worldly examples and then you lead them out of it slowly, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how we do this. I'm still all very new. Like, I've only been a Christian for about 5 years. I'm still really learning a lot about it. And when I come on these shows, I'm more of a researcher. That's why I'm not quoting, verse so often, because I'm not as familiar with it yet. I don't think I can do what you do. And that's why I appreciate you interpreting it that way, because it helps me too, not just the audience. So you're an amazing person, Stephen. I'm so grateful
appreciate you, man,
to have been here, buddy.
I love you, buddy. And we just started. We just started. We have a long ways to go, man. And when I get tired, I expect you to push me forward. And when you get tired, I expect myself to push you, right? And we're just sharpen each other.
I appreciate
that. And motivate each other and encourage each other. And honestly,
we carry each other to the finish line somehow.
Yes. I wanted to end it on a little verse here. This is something that I posted on X back April 14th, and it's Ephesians 3:17-19. It says that Christ may dwell in your hearts by faith, that ye being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth and length and depth and height, and to know the love of Christ, which passeth knowledge, that ye might be filled with the fullness of God. And what's funny is I wrote in here, I said, that in this verse, the word knowledge is gnosis, right, in the Greek, and that this verse alone destroys the Christian Gnostic perspective. And it's something that we're up against. It's something that's plaguing society like a cancer. and from one mouth to the other, it spreads like wildfire. And if we can try to do our best with getting the real gospel out there, because I do think all of these false prophets and these false gospels that are being pushed right now are only going to lead people into believing that they are good enough, that you don't need to be accountable for your actions, and that with that whole idea, you don't need to believe in Jesus Christ. You don't need a savior. And that is the exact inversion of what the real gospel talks about. And one thing too that's really important, you know, I even have here, I got Jesus, right? Faith in Jesus Christ, stepping on the head of the serpent with gnosis. It's kind of funny. You know, we have to start getting closer to the Lord each and every day. And I don't know who that message is for, but it's at least for one person. And to grow closer to him and to understand the gospel entirely. And if we can just get it out there, just to one person at a time, you know, one person a day or one person a week, whatever, just give it a try. You know, it's really hard for Christians to go out there and to be fishers of men, because we're so entangled with social media, work, society, family issues. We've got, you know, problems that we're facing on the reg, all this kind of stuff. You know, we're all going to die the first death. There's no escaping that. And you know, the time is now to get that out there for others to hear, especially with what's going on. There's a lot of discordianism, there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of chaos magic, word magic, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of ministers of light that ultimately are workers of darkness. And the time's right now. The time is right now. And pick up your cross each and every day. And I think one of the most important things that we can do by spreading the gospel is also to show our faith and how it's alive. And one thing that we can do by expressing that is to try to be more righteous. You know, I'm not a works-based salvation guy, but I do think that our testimony and our faith, that's what people can understand. The normal man can't really understand us just Bible thumping someone or dumping a bunch of this information on them. But they'll look at you and they'll go, something's different about that guy compared to everything else, or this group of people. Something's a little different. What's he got that I don't have? You know, I do think that faith without works is dead. It's not that you're not saved. It's just that people can't see it in the normal man's perspective. If you're not being more like the Lord, or you're not, you know, picking up your cross, dying to your flesh, and living in the Spirit, it's important to do that. And God's been putting that on my heart tremendously lately, man, because I work in a firehouse. I'm with a bunch of guys that are rough and tough and are traumatized, and you know,
in danger sometimes, all the time.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, you know, that's one thing just God's put on my heart, man, because I think that's going to start to take, people are going to start to take me more seriously if that's how I'm going to live this out. And so hopefully we can all do that. And it's not easy, but we can, like this, you know, the righteous man, right, falls off his horse, right, you know, 7 times or whatever, he gets back up on it, dude. And that's what it's about. And the Lord's with us each and every day. He's encouraging us in our thoughts and in our hearts to do better. And we got to follow that. You know, we've got to sacrifice our desires and sacrifice our fleshly minds and be more like Christ, you know.
And I want to say God is fair too. If nothing, if you know, maybe more than anything, God is fair about things. Like just for anyone, you know, like if you were addicted to 3 different drugs and alcohol and gambling, and you know, I don't believe that God's the kind of father to say, all right, now you got to stop all of that right this second, put your health at risk. You know, like, God is fair. Like, God understands, as long as you are making progress, as long as you're always trying, as long as you're always fighting, and you really do make it to the end here, like of your goal of quitting whatever it is or doing whatever it is, right? Like I just don't feel like a lot of people see God as like a harsh, impassive, unchanging judge in a way, but part of love is fairness and understanding. And I feel that when I do fail at getting to be a better person, I feel like kind of, it's okay, just try again. Don't give up. That's the failure would be to give up and to become recidivist and go back to your old ways and to fall away from God. But just keep, like, you may fall off your horse, right? Just get back on it and keep riding to the Lord. That's what's most important, right? And that itself is a work. In a way, you're working with yourself. You're having to put in the most effort to becoming a better person. You should be doing that. It's the plank in the eye, right? We should be focusing on our own failings first to become a better example for others. And in so doing, we learn things that we can communicate to others, and that makes it easier for them to understand. Like how I was trying to explain, like, almost judgment is like a courtroom, right? With a judge and a prosecution and a defense for us. And we're the criminal in this case. We are, right? We're the sinner in this case. So
yeah,
I think God's going to be, I pray that God is as fair and forgiving as I think God has a lot of surprises left for us. A lot of glory that we couldn't even wrap our minds around. It's inconsequential. I wouldn't be upset if God let everyone into heaven, forgave everyone because they saw him and they actually broke down and said, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. I thought it was Kali. I thought it was science. Who wouldn't break down like that when they're confronted with the actual truth? I don't know. I'm just saying I would not be sad if I took the hard route to God like this, like actually, hating on myself at times and trying to become a better person and fighting with sin. I wouldn't mind if everyone else got in on a free ticket just because at the last second they were like, I'm sorry, God, I didn't know it was you. I thought it was Kali, right? That's fine with me. I'm willing to accept that because God gave us his sacrifice. Least we can do is give something back.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, brother, thank you, man. Thank you so much. And I'm excited
brother.
to do more streams with you, man. You're an awesome
Absolutely.
researcher. And the people appreciate the hard work that you put in all of this stuff, man.
I appreciate the chat a lot. They've been very supportive.
They're good.
I'm really appreciative of that. And if there's anything I can do to improve, let me know that too. I'm happy to. I'm still getting used to all this. Again, I'm not the forward-facing guy in all this. I am the nerd who sits behind the computer and Googles a lot of stuff. So I'm trying my best. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man. I got love for you, man. We all do. And if there's anywhere that the chat can support you, I mean, just go ahead, throw it out there.
No. I'm wherever good people are hosting shows, like John, like yourself, Stephen.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Hey, listen, I appreciate you, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. That was an awesome long stream. We ran into a little bit of an issue there, but we got it resolved. And if anyone wants to support what it is I do here, just head on over to patreon.com/the biblical hitman. You get all of your ad-free early access, direct chats, and group chats with me over there. If you're over here on the YouTube side, you want to support the show, just make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the show, share it with your friends, and come on over to the audio platforms and support me there. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Spreaker. And while you're there, I just encourage people to hit the follow button and to leave a nice review. But thank you, everybody. Thank you for the super chats. I appreciate all of y'all, and enjoy the rest of your night. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.